When Shadow of the Erdtree first came out, I decided to dive in at NG+7 difficulty without any prior experience. I didn't know any of the boss patterns, I didn't know where anything was, and I was trying to use only items you could find in the DLC. Was this a good idea? No. Was it a fast idea? No. Instead of being able to get the whole run out the first week, it took us 3 weeks to go through it all. And believe it or not, we missed something. Maybe even multiple things. So what do? My integrity is on the line, and I know that that video series is not complete. Well, today we finished it, and also combined the other 3 videos into one long supercut for your binging pleasure. Enjoy. To watch more DLC content live, come hang out with us on Twitch. We find new ways to play Elden Ring all the time. Join the Patreon to support the channel. If you think, oh my god, why the hell would he do this to himself? It's for your patronage. I need to pay my rent. Finally, like this video and subscribe. There's a ton of new interest in Elden Ring at the moment, and those likes and subscribes help get our videos in front of people. It helps us out a lot. And speaking of help, let's start a run that legally functions as a desperate cry for that.
I don't like that. So far, off to a bad start.
This isn't a new character. This is the character from our last terrible idea, beating 1,320 bosses to try and get max stats. If you missed that, here's the much shorter version. We beat the bosses. It didn't work. We're going with 60 in everything instead because we were only a few levels away from being able to do that. To make it feel new though, let's get a new hairstyle. They added new hairstyles, so now our hair is longer. Here I thought Grand Theft Auto was the only game where a barber could make your hair grow. Oh, that Mercy I mentioned, we're going to be rocking the Ritual Shield Talisman. It'll give us 1 hit before we need to heal.
You sure about that?
Lita was brought here by Mikola. Cool, hope we see you later. No cutscene when you grab Mikola's hand. You're just like, there. We can't defend ourselves well without a sword, so hey. Everybody get a weapon! First place I'm checking is this church. It's not a weapon, it's a blue skidoo tree fragment. Those boost your attack and defense by 5% when you cash them in for a blessing. Just for the DLC, doesn't go back to the base game. Might be important if we don't want to die. Maybe the little camp nearby has a weapon, but we can't fight anyone, so let's ring around that rosy. There are weapons here. There's a whole wall of spears. We just can't grab any of them for some reason. First death, I don't know if we're gonna track all the deaths. After some running around, we find another purple item, but it's a revered spirit ash, something to make our spirit ashes not totally suck and die instantly out here. We will still use spirit ashes, they just have to be from the Shadowlands. Scorched Ruins. If I was a weapon, I'd be in the Scorched Ruins. We find a Potentate's cookbook and a hefty cracked pot. Technically, we can do damage now. Up top, there's a chest with a Blade of Mercy, a weapon that is not a weapon. It isn't Bloodborne. Oh my god, it's a talisman that boosts your damage when you crit, which is wild because Blade of Mercy was a light weapon in Bloodborne and wouldn't get you a lot of crits. Anyway, now I am fully aware we might have missed some weapons here or there. I was not playing the game with perfect knowledge because I do not know where things are. There's a boss in this mausoleum, but I'd have to box them right now, and I don't know karate yet. Maybe I'll learn karate later, but I don't know now. We're writing this as we go. I wrote this part of the script on Saturday. I played this part of the game on Friday. The game was out for less than 24 hours. I cannot hear you in the stream when you tell me where there are weapons now. I just want to make that so clear because I know half of the comments are going to be, bro, you missed the poop stomper. The poop stomper was just behind that tree you ran past. I'm sure it was, and I'm sure the poop stomper is the best weapon in the game, and it would have one-shot every boss. I can't do anything with that information now. Okay, found our first Mikola cross and another blue skidoo blessing. And it's Freya, everyone's favorite red mane knight. I wonder if she'll come back later. I like her big sword. I'd like it more if she gave it to us. Finally, we find a cave, and always find weapons in caves. This is the Bella Root Jail, and with no weapons and armor, this is a survival horror game. The stairs break. There's a ghost.
It's spooky.
And the purple thing is just a rune to bait you into whatever the hell that thing is. No. No. Oh. FromSoft platforming? So early? Oh no. Then the stairs break again, and we're in a maze of pots. Is this game gonna be mean to me? I want it to be kind to me. Thankfully, there are smithing stones for the weapons we don't have yet. Managed to make it all the way to the boss without dying. Only problem is I was not looking for bosses. I can thankfully crack one heavy fire pot, so Ons, get ready for 300 damage. Ons is a little demi-human, like Bach if Bach was a clone of Clone Wars Yoda. We couldn't beat him with just our fists. The Stake America is right outside the arena, so we just run back in and die so we can go back to the Grace and check for more weapons. Next time down, I fall. Differently. Worse even.
Aim for the bushes.
I just didn't realize which pot I was meant to land on. Next time we make it down to the chest, but then... Let's go. Let's go. Oh no! Oh no! Back to the maze, I guess. I find my way atop the jars. Turns out a jar maze is easier when you can just run on the walls of it. Good news, I found another pot recipe and another pot. Now we can make freezing pots, like for Melania. Then we exit the maze and I discover elevator. Remember in the last video when I said Placidusax is easy to miss because I didn't think to hang off every ledge and hope I could land on a sliver of safety? Well, this time I did because I remembered Placidusax. Atop the altar to the pot, a weapon? Weapon. Great Jar's a new weapon type. I'm sure of it. Nope, it's a hat. Well, now we can solo the game, unless we get grabbed. I've given up on finding a weapon in there. You know what really sucks? If there is, also, let's go ahead and mark this marker. There's a boss in there. Okay. If there is a weapon in there, the only thing that my comments are gonna say on this fucking video is, dude, you missed the dick fucker. Just outside, we get some armor. It's light, but hey, it's something. And then, in some more ruins, another jar recipe. Are our hands extra soft or something? We're just being raised to be the perfect potentate. Another revered spirit ash from another burned down village. Was there a bunch of fire around here or something? Ailing talisman, not a weapon, but it will make us more resistant to the last status effect we were afflicted with. And like nothing that hits us to apply status effects would not just kill us by the time its status is applied. Finally, next to the Ghost Flame Dragon, we find the Great Katana.
It's been 84 years.
And now that we can fight, this run is going to take off like a rocket to the moon. Testing out the Great Katana, it's a little slow. It's got a funky stance where you bonk people really fast. My personal favorite part about it is that it isn't our bare fists. Time to see what the Mausoleum boss was, Black Jail Knight. Our damage isn't great, but presumably we have bleed eventually, so that should help. His crossbow is a pretty shit ranged option, but that Stormblade... probably not very quickly.
In danger.
Ritual Shield Talisman is not enough. Several of this dude's attacks are still one-shots. I guess this won't be our first move. Let's try the Wicker Man, I guess. He's not a boss, so we don't have to bail on the weapon. Big fiery stomps, but as I suspected, he's slow as crap. Don't get me wrong, sometimes he still hits us as I'm learning the moves, but we don't get one-shot. We just get very close to being one-shot. All you gotta do is whack away on those hot toasts till he falls down, then take a long time to walk around and get the crit. Seriously, knock this guy down, then go make a sandwich, come back and get the crit. And when I say make a sandwich, I mean you can bake the goddamn bread. Not too hard, just a little slow. It gives us our first physic tier that boosts the damage after quick guarding, I think. I don't know what that means. Okay, across the bridge there is a camp with perfumers and we grab the Fire Spark perfume weapon. It sprays a bunch of perfume, not all that deadly. Now the Carrion Giant at the beginning of Castle Ensis, pretty deadly. Yeah, he sure ends that sis. It's me. I'm the sis. Happy Pride Month though. Kept trying to kill him since I thought we'd get a weapon. Second attempt, a Burger King joined us. We get him squished under the giant's foot lettuce. The last thing you want on your burger is someone's foot fungus. Speaking of, we got squished. So, skip. Let's fight the Burger King. Maybe there's another weapon in there. No, just runes. Like, runes are fine. We just don't need them at all. Basic enemies destroy us. Soldiers and dogs are our kryptonite. Solution, cardio. Just run past them. Another chest, another cookbook. You gotta do the cooking by the book or the cake will end up crazy. Okay, let's fight a Black Knight. He's got that Radagon cone on his hammer and honestly, kinda easy to punish because of it. Well, not totally easy. I like that. Ow. Oh! Let's try another path. There's a tower. We climb it, but the soldier is pursuing us. Well, get ready to get bonked at the top of the ladder. Welcome to the top, shit. Oh, well, when we quit out, he despawns. We can climb the tower for a weapon. One of my new favorites, Milady. This thing is deadlier than life spent alone, with charged attacks that combo into the light attacks. It's so stylish, much like a fedora. Or a trilby. And if you know the difference between fedoras and trilbies, I don't want to make fun of you. It's kind of just sad. I will say there are some generous grace placements in this game, even if I get killed right after I grab them. There's stuff behind the waterfall, this game is great. There's guys behind the corner, this game sucks. Next time, we head to a shortcut so we can die to more soldiers. I'm gonna be honest, things sort of feel a little skewed against us at the moment. You know, if Moongrim was so good, why haven't they made Moongrim 2?
He's right behind me, isn't he?
Hey, Ritual Shield Talisman, you doing okay? That's full with the Ritual Shield. No, you're not doing okay. We try a couple different methods of getting him, sneaking up on him works, but if we get one shot, we die, and that's kinda hard. So let's just skip it. A ghost wants America to hug her damn children. So do I. It would solve like 60% of the problems in the lands between. There's also a new stance talisman. It doesn't boost stance damage. Stances are also a form of weapon art. Like, you know, stamp, upward cut, I think. It counts as one of them. The Great Katana has a stance. It does a little more damage, and then we still die to Toongrum. Downstairs we get a shield, but bestie, we can't use a goddamn shield here. Sometimes we don't even make it to Toongrum. We just get got by the dogs. At this point, you might think, how much of this video is just gonna be Phil running around and dying?
9%? 90?
A map could help. Well, can't hurt. Let's go kill Ons. I'll bet he drops that funky little sword. This cave is less stressful when we can kill that which God refused to see. All right, Ons, let's see what you got. I died instantly. Second fight, same thing. We whiffed the running attack. 3-hit combo. We're dead. Getting hit with the first hit of that string locks us into getting hit by the next 2 hits. And those kill us. To quote business genius Elon Musk, concerning. I don't think this guy is even close to the hardest boss in the DLC. He is still handing us our ass over and over and over again. Oh my god, he has a ducky dance. We never got hit by it because it doesn't charge in, which I guess also makes it pretty fair. And I never got grabbed, so I don't know what that looks like. Finally, we win and get the demi-human spirit buddy ashes. After an hour and 33 minutes, we've beaten one boss and only died 28 times. Well, no more Great Katana. R.I.P. Hopefully I like the perfume weapon. Let's get back to the Black Jail Knight. Turns out perfume bottles don't make him one-shot us less. Even the hits we do live require double chugging, which leaves us super vulnerable to the next attack. At this point, I'm kind of just running around trying to find the thing that will kill us the least. Toongrum again? Perfume Grum is not the solution to Toongrum. Let's level up Milady and use that against the non-bosses at least. I'll try to save it for a major boss, but for Toongrum, it should be fine. I died. It does seem to be an improvement. This really is a wonderful throw your face into a brick wall style of gameplay. So let's skip Toongrum, then run around the rooms instead to get ganked by Burger Kings. Burgers King? Is it like Attorneys General? Not sure. I'm sure we died again trying to grab an item. This time it's to a different burger chain. Five Guys. I love when Five Guys mess up my guts. And a dog. They have hot dogs too. I need to simply employ the best technique in FromSoft games. Quitting. If you run past, quit out, all the enemies go back to their first spawn point so you can get an imbued sword key. For what? Are there gonna be more belfries here? We actually win another fight, this time against the Black Knight. Part of me is tempted to farm them for the armor set. Maybe these rags aren't that great. I won't replace the jar, don't worry. Finally, we grab a grace, then dip over to the balcony and get the wings dance. It's what I do when I want wings. This is pretty good. I don't figure that out for a while, but it's pretty good. One more fight with the Black Knight, he gets his revenge and kills us. New boss by the grace, Relana, not to be confused with Renala. This boss is hard because sure, she's got spells, but they come out of her weapons. And weapons, those are pretty good. Seriously though, Relana, what's next? Godefroy?
I'm gonna tell him.
Don't you dare.
You ever fight a boss once and just kind of realize, nah, I ain't ready for that, I'm fucked for that. You ever do that? I did. So let's go somewhere else. We meet up with Moog's former dude and a nice pot man. Sir Gideon not near gives us a map for these crosses, and then we find a big spider. It can't fit through the door. What an idiot. More spiders in the next room. It's nice to have enemies we can actually beat. Oh, and another revered spirit ash for when we use a spirit ash. Then we die to another big spider. Looks like we found another legacy dungeon, Belarut. Lots of ghosty guys in here, and we can kind of fight them. That feels good. I like that. I'm getting some Stormveil vibes here. Maybe this one is supposed to be the first one, not Raya 2 Karia. Although the Capra Demon is a bit of an issue, kills us twice, so let's just skip it. New boss that isn't a boss, Fire Knight Quayleg? I'm gonna call him Quayleg, because he does fire, and it's the Dark Souls 1 boss. He's had a rough go of it, losing half of his limbs and not figuring out a good post-transition look. Dude has a bowl cut. It looks like he's cosplaying as a penis. Penis has hands though. God, that'd be scary. What if a penis had hands? He can super armor out of our combos.
I don't know if you're allowed to do that.
And he taught me a valuable lesson about jumping. Apparently when you jump, your legs become invincible. And I didn't know that. And it's been like that the whole time. People were saying I should know that since I jump over moves like the earthquakes from Horaloo or the rings from Elden Beast. But I thought that worked because, and hear me out, our legs weren't on the ground where the attacks were. You know how many times I've been smacked out of the air while jumping? I guess it's more of a PvP thing, but apparently I'm the asshole for thinking legs can take damage. New strat, Wings Dance with the bleed. It will combo up and work great, just not on the Capra Demon. But we can at least bleed Quayleg, as long as he doesn't go into super armor, frame 0, or block with his indestructible legs, that we apparently also have. Yeah, I'm kind of done tracking deaths. We're already past 50 for sure. About 20 minutes and we win for the Crucible Insignia, which raises your damage when you beat an enemy. Something we're not doing. That was a dead end. But there are so many paths. As much as this game is kicking my ass, there are so many paths to explore to find things you can do, to die to. A lot. It's like the illusion of choice. Would you rather have your dick flattened by Toongrum or your butt cheeks eviscerated by the Black Jail Knight? Which way, Western gamer? We'll find the storage room key and forget to try it on that door. God damn, I'm writing this as it goes. We'll try that next stream. Then a little shortcut right to the door. Phil, check the door. Damn it, he can't hear me and he can't hear you. Don't give him advice. It doesn't do anything. Upstairs, we get a bone bow from some spiders that kill us. And I think I'm gonna have to start yada when we just run in somewhere to die, because this is getting tedious. I'm still loving the gameplay. I just don't think it makes for a great story. It's that part in Edge It Tomorrow where they just do a montage killing Tom Cruise a bunch.
Again.
Maybe I just need to see Nepheli do a push-up for some proper motivation. Finally get this guy with a pot. He drops a revered spirit ash. Then we die immediately to another Capra Demon. Oops, all Capra Demons. So there's this ladder. You go down it. There's a whole lake bed area with flies. We safely kill all those flies. And it's just crafting materials. Nothing useful. No weapons, no armors, no secret doors. Just like mushrooms and crap. I'm assuming an NPC must move down here later or something, because like, why is it here? I find another revered spirit ash. Maybe I'll just not have a breaking rule for spirit ashes. Finally, we find a guy with some chakrams. I don't think chakrams are a weapon type. They were a weapon type I really wanted because I wanted the ring blades the Crystallians use, because I really like Axel from Kingdom Hearts. He falls off a cliff. I'm simply too good. First boss with a cutscene. It's got toes. It's got furry stuff. It's the divine beast, the dancing lion. Finally, a boss designed by the FromSoft community. First try doesn't go great. Second try doesn't go great. Third try, we're seeing a pattern, but I'm learning the patterns. This is where we're gonna spend most of the rest of stream 1. Picture an ulcerated tree spirit that gets elemental effects halfway through the fight and hits about 3 to 4 times harder.
Are you a sicko? What is this?
I'm summoning Lydia because, are you kidding? Like, we need help. Sometimes we can get in there and do some hits. Sometimes we just get washed before Lydia even crosses the fog. Every hit will kill us if Ritual Shield is not active, and even when it is active, this hits so hard, we gotta double chug. After 10 minutes, we take a break. I realized we haven't tried the Dance of Wings for Toongrum, and Diving Attack just fully cheeses him. If you're having trouble with Toongrum, just do that. It works great. He drops a Colossal Sword with a colossal version of Glintblade Phalanx. I'm guessing they don't do the stance damage of Glint Blade Phalanx though, even though presumably they should do more. Let's try it against Dancing Lion. Doesn't go great. Immediately back to Milady. Not that that's doing much better. This is really just a matter of practice, or at least that's how I felt here. Sure, it was washing me more than Melania does now, but that's because I know Melania. I don't know this guy. The ice phase is my least favorite he goes for. AoEs are just goddamn ridiculous. Every time he jumps up, I am praying for no ice. Abolish ice. We don't have a For Biden lands in this video, so yeah, okay, how about that? Abolish ice. All my friends hate ice. Our best strat here is bleed. I mean, that's kind of always the best strat for any boss that can bleed. Sometimes we even get a really good run off. That one was heartbreaking. Followed by, like, have his rhythm down during a run, or I just absolutely don't. You know, like that last run, yeah, you might think that him grabbing Lydia would be a great punish window, but dude keeps his iframes up for like 30 years after he's done spitting her out. Seriously, while he's chomping, go make a sandwich. And I don't mean just bake the bread, I mean pick the wheat, raise the cow to get the milk you're making for cheese. You might think I'm a bit too salty about this, but after this, no! Oh, that was so close. Wouldn't you be salty like cured meat? Also, I wasn't really even that salty about it during stream. FromSoft cooked up some cruelty that can really pound my ass for hours and have me saying, nice pounding, let's go for another hour. Sometimes I summon Prosh, our little Bach Jr., but he doesn't help much, and I kind of want to save him for future bosses where we have more revered spirit ashes. There's the gobble animation. Gobble me, you degenerate little freak. I should do smash for passes for the bosses so far. This one's a pass. 3 people's just too much for me. And the costumes don't work. Not a furry, but hey, if you are, have fun. Rilana. Smash. She's power stancing. That's bisexual behavior. Ons is a pass. He's a bit too Muppety for my taste, and Muppets are an automatic pass. Except Janice. Girls with guitars. I don't know. Works for me. Black Jail Knight. That's a pass. He's too distant. What do you mean you need a crossbow and a blade beam? What if I want to cuddle? The dragon we saw for 2 seconds before ignoring? I don't know. We ignored it too fast. But probably a pass. I'm not a scaler. Back to the boss fight I'm floundering into. I figured out that since we're only really ever going to be getting 1 or 2 hits off until he twists away, might as well hit that wing dance R2 for some stance pressure. Of course, he's just like... Sign of the times, that guy used to be called Chubby. Also, stance pressure is so bad in NG+7 that we are lucky if we get 1 break. I know Lydia is adding even more stance resistance, but she's also adding the bulk of the pressure with her huge fudge-off greatsword. And shield bash. She likes to shield bash a lot. Hey Lydia, can you stop shield bashing, sweetie? Where would I put her in the ranking of summoned allies? Well, it isn't really a fair ranking, and honestly, her and I have probably been through more fights together than me and the rest of the allies combined. It honestly doesn't matter how good she is. When you come out of a jigsaw trap together, you're just gonna have a bond that other people don't understand. 5 hours into the DLC on day 1. We've beaten 1 boss and had an amount of deaths I frankly did not have the patience nor time to count. I love it, but we need to change the strategy for day 2. It's not like it can go worse. Okay, so at this point on day 2, we don't have footage for, and my bad, I guess we'll throw up, oh, I don't know, maybe some Hades 2 stuff in the background. My capture card was dropping half the frames for like 20 minutes. Here's what we did. I found more blue Skidoo fragments and revered spirit ashes. You didn't miss much. If you want a guide to find blue Skidoo fragments, there are already a bunch. I haven't seen any super comprehensive ones, but there are a lot. You can put them all together. This isn't shade at anyone who made one. I know they're trying to get the video out as fast as possible to be the first one. I get the grind set. Speaking of, let's get back to it. Back at it, we're gonna try the Black Jail Knight with the poison spray perfume. Oh, we picked that up too from a guy who sells poison. We are no longer getting one shot by the jump attacks. We still get one shot by the blade beam. But since this dude can be poisoned as long as we just get him sick and stay back, we can win. The crossbow attack is pretty terrible, makes sense, it's a crossbow. The Ash of War on these perfume bottles is deadly poison spray, which coats us in a deadly poison. Okay, not great. I get the appeal, it's just a way to activate Kindred of Rots without having to make shit to throw at your toes. After a while, I gave up. We'll just try a harder boss with it. Rilana. Maybe she's super weak to poison. She doesn't appear to be super weak to poison, but it was worth a shot. Everyone dunks on Holy for being basically useless in the base game, but poison's the the real sad boy. Everything that can be poisoned can also be rot, and rot is just better in every way. Alright, let's try to poison the lion dancer. Also doesn't go great. I think poison might just always be kind of bad. Maybe if we find a rot spray perfume later, that would be decent, but for now, I think the perfume weapons are just kind of ass. Back to your regularly scheduled ass stomping with the milady. We bring out Yash too because rule change. I'm not throwing things in the trash anymore. I'm sorry, the script is being written as we go, and I've decided not to do that part of this. This shit is already so hard. I'm gonna try and use the strongest and best stuff we can. All still from the DLC, I'm just not gonna deal with the pressure of trying to find new weapons for every boss when we are already struggling so much, you know? Hey, at least I didn't review bomb the game. That's so insane. I'm keeping up with the news on it. I guarantee the people review bombing it are the people who are like, FromSoft should never add an easy mode. They're just the kind of people who like to cry a lot. I'd be totally fine if Elden Ring added an easy mode, because the hard isn't the only good thing about these games. Like, I like it hard. I really enjoy having my face smashed into the floor by the DLC, believe it or not. But I know that kind of thing isn't for everyone. They should leave the difficulty as is, put an option in the settings to make it easier. And when you turn that on, a virus is downloaded onto your computer, and anytime you gatekeep the game, the dancing lion shows up to your house and hits your real life body with that. On the real though, I think people were just really confident they were good at Elden Ring after 2 years. As a content creator, I know better than anyone. Y'all think you're hot shit. What? Because you practice the same bosses over and over again? Because you know you can sleep pot the Godskin duo when you know the arrow face of Radon can be skipped? You've forgotten the joy of having your shit pushed in to the same boss for hours. You wanted to beat this entire thing in a weekend, but you don't have to. If anyone has to, I do. And I'm not sure if you realize by the time code or the absolute hell of a time I'm having doing this, I'm not beating it this weekend. Take your time, die a lot, and remember what the ultimate pothead warrior says. Suffering is the fun part. Once you figure out every boss in the DLC, you're just gonna become an obnoxious ass who says, Dancing Lion isn't even that hard, use the bumper hammer with the bleed affinity and the Cubster Dumpster Ash of War. In summation,
Bring it.
He brought it.
also, when you get your shit rocked enough, you just gotta realize maybe it's time to go somewhere else. Try something else. I decided I wanted some heavier armor. Sure, those blue skidoos are multiplying our damage resistance, but they don't have the best floor with which to multiply. I bet Black Knights drop their armor, and it's pretty easy to farm this one with the Colossal Sword. You just sneak up, backstab, charged heavy, and spam R1. It works for the most part. Occasionally he blocks, but when he does the cone, and it's so bad, you can backstab him. A lot of times I end up dodging it accidentally. Hell of a drip, hell of a hammer, but they don't really seem that bad beyond the intimidation factor. We get the gloves and the chest piece. It only takes about 10 minutes, and we're ready to take some big hits. Bring it, Dancing Lion.
He brought it.
God, I love this game. I try making the big Carrion Knight Sword work a little bit more and get stance breaks more often for sure, but it's just not giving us the damage we need. Bleed is just really pushed against enemies that have this amount of health. That's an NG+7 complaint, not a DLC complaint. Percentile damage is just kind of good. Rilana didn't get easier just because I went somewhere else for a bit. I love how good she is at swapping her attention between me and the Spirit Ash. It really feels like FromSoft was watching how everyone played the game, saw the things people did to make it easy, and deliberately designed the DLC to be like, learn again. God, I love this game. The real thing I learned was go somewhere else. Just like try to find something else to do. Surely there's something we can do and the game isn't just locked off behind Raya Tucaria and Castle Not Stormvale. I found a catacomb down past Tucaria and the ceiling is an enemy. Huh. There's also new imps.
What is wrong with you? Why would you do this?
These ones hop around like Yoshimitsu from Tekken on their little swords. It's hard to deny how cute that is. We even get a drop. It's the Lizard Greatsword. The charged R2 shoots out a projectile. What does the Claymore do? Does the Claymore have a tongue attack? More new imps. These ones have mortar pots. Cool. Just when I thought I was safe, a second ceiling has attacked the Tarnished. Weird note, if you roll, you can get hit on the ass, so the ceiling doesn't headshot you. I was able to live. But really the key is just stepping in, making a drop, and running under it as it moves back up. Same thing with the second room, just bait it, but this time you go to the top to see the rest of the dungeon. We got 2 soldiers and a hammer guy, time to be a master baiter and bait the first guy over. Wings Dance doesn't really do poise damage, and we get 2-shot from the top. A second lizard greatsword has hit the inventory. Wahoo! Now we can power stance them. Eventually make it back to the 2 soldiers, only to find out Hammer Guy had a secret 3rd soldier in his room. But remember, I'm really good at the Black Knights. No problem. We get a great ghost glovewort, and that's it? Wait, no. We can jump on the spikes from the first room. My soul's IQ is through the roof. I got really excited for the Black Knight Andreas ashes. He's well endowed, apparently.
He's got a pretty nice piece.
But just because he's got a big hammer doesn't mean he knows how to swing it. More on that later. Back to the second spike ceiling, we can make it drop and fight another gargoyle for a 3rd lizard greatsword. We'll wield them like Zorro One Piece now. Boogie across and there's an elevator with a nice Steak America at the bottom. Isn't that sweet? I mean, kind of. It's there saying, you're about to die, but it won't be that bad. America, a deathbed companion confirmed? We've had 1 spiked ceiling room, yes, 2 spiked ceiling rooms, but what about a 3rd spiked ceiling room with 3 spiked ceilings? That's excessive. Almost as excessive as a 4th lizard greatsword. Now we can wear them like skis. I made it to the end of the room, got imped. Darn. From the middle, we get imped at the end again. They're so small and they just kind of duck under the attacks a lot of the time. Okay, 3rd time is the charm. We get into the little alcove, ride it up and get a blink bolt ash of war, then go all the way back out on top of the spikes to grab the stone sword. It's a straight sword that does strike damage and is important to the battle of light and darkness. Stone swords are keys. This is a keyblade, and it's gonna be a real struggle to use this ash. Time for another hole and another Steak of America, this time right in front of a boss door. Time to throw down. Death Knight is a Giga Chad. So cool. Power stancing, throwing a ton of lightning, zipping all around at the speed of sound. Do not get grabbed by him. He will suck you to death. We didn't the first time. Bad news. I think he is immune to bleed, and we're using a bloody milady. So we did not get the first try win.
I am shocked. Shocked. Well, not that shocked.
Oh hey, here's what the grab looks like. Not a second try win either.
You'll be sucked.
However, despite 2 losses, it does kind of feel like I get to participate in this fight a little bit more. Not a lot more, but we're consistently getting down to around half health before dying. After a few attempts, I realized we should rock the big sword against him if we can't get the bleed anyway, and it works great, till I get sucked again. I have yet to discover the true tech, but once I do, this guy's a pushover. Yash is a bit too aggressive and breaking him out of crit windows. Remember, we have the talisman that makes us hit harder after we crit. Ideally, I'd like to get crits easily, but I don't know how I'm gonna do that. We also get a damage boost when our Spirit Ash dies. Imagine sacrificing a poor Yoshi just for a leg up on a boss. What am I? Mario? I mean, yeah, kind of. Here's the secret tech. This guy can be backstabbed, and pretty easily, really easily with a Spirit Ash, but even if the Spirit Ash dies, he has a lot of moves that kind of make him stand forward with his big old backside sticking out. That means that all we have to do to get the crit boost is walk around and hit him in the back. Backstabbing doesn't even count towards stance pressure, meaning that after we knock him down, we can get a charge heavy off and repeat to get a regular stance break too. It's so easy after we died for 30 minutes straight trying to figure it out. We get the twin axes that let us dash forward better than the lightning ash of war we grabbed earlier, and the crimson amber medallion +3 for a big old health boost, which doesn't help really. Let's try Rilana with Andreas. He hits her with his tongue, well endowed and still going down. It doesn't even do much damage. I think he just enjoys it. King shit. How does he do against the dancing lion? Well, the damage is good, but he's just too stupid to live. Maybe he's not meant to be a fighter. He could be a translator. Certainly seems like a cunning linguist. Maybe we can explore more down the side of Castle Ensis. There's a little bridge I want to try and climb. Maybe if you get there from inside the castle. We get some pants from Soldier. That's neat. I like pants. But then I find my way onto the rooftops like in Raya Lucaria 1. And we're rewarded with 1 somber stone 2. And a Burger King who's stuck in the floor. Help, Step Tarnished. I'm stuck in the roof. Trying again by the guy who sold poison, we find a way down to a poison swamp. If you ever need to know where to go in a FromSoft game, follow the poison swamps. There's another revered Spirit Ash, and then dying because of bad jumps. Going the other way, there's an ulcerated tree spirit, and we have a pure fire weapon with these perfume things. That should work great.
This sucks.
Maybe this one isn't weak to fire, or maybe it's because we're on water, but yeah, it is chipping away. I don't think it does any stance damage whatsoever. If it does, it's basically nothing. We just keep hitting this dude over and over and over again. At least we'll maybe get a new seed for the flask, and no. It's a Baron. One of those things you put in the consumable slot to spam ranged attacks. cool. Further down, we get a two-headed turtle talisman, which is pretty rad. If you don't know what talisman you need, turtle's never a bad option, so I'm sure two-headed turtle's pretty good too. It takes a few attempts to figure out how to get around the birds, but eventually we make it all the way down to the bottom of a waterfall and find a field full of lightning goats. And another wicker man. This one has a bunch of fireballs that chase you, giving you another opportunity to mess it up. On the way back, I found a little pot hanging off the waterfall. It's got mushroom seller's bell bearing. Okay, I'll do some shrooms. Here's the thing with the wicker men. They take a little too long, and it's not fun. It's not particularly hard, but because they take so long and one mistake gets you killed, it's really not fun. If this is the only way to get physic tiers in the DLC, I'm not doing it. Especially not on NG+7, where everything has higher stance resistance, and the only way to beat this thing is with stance damage. But we also decided that after like 20 minutes of running in, getting hit once, and dying. New rule, I can use base game physics. Why? Because the rules don't matter. They're my rules. I want to use them. Hey, when we skip that, we can get to a new area. It's the Cerulean Coast, and we grab another sword. Then fight a mob of demi-humans with a queen and force Yash to turn on his own kind.
That is fucked up, Daisy.
I'm cleaning up the mob before fighting the queen. I know it's just a demi-human queen, but like, in the Shadowlands, I'm sure it's got some messed up stuff. I just want to make sure that we have the best odds possible. There are a few left when we fight her, but she can kind of hit her own guys too, so it ends up being kind of fine, I think. If this is like other demi-humans, we just gotta hug the crotch and slash away. Oh my god, we beat a boss on the first try, and got a spirit sword. We have doubled the number of bosses we beat in the first day.
From what, 2 to 4?
Yup.
Actually, it's worse than that. It's 1 to 2. I'm the king of Elden Ring, baby. More than anything, I just wanted to find blue skidoos and revered spirit ashes. Anything to give us a little more of a chance. There seems to be a bunch of crashed boat coffin things. They have grave gloveworts at the top. Okay, Ghost Flame Dragon. It's a dragon, but with Ghost Flame. They put a dragon and a deathbird together. An improvement on a deathbird for sure, but he really ruined a perfectly good dragon. This one does not just shoot breath in one line, it shoots it in 2 half lines. Interesting. Gotta mix up how you dodge it. Then the wing attack is faster than I thought it would be, so I'm dead. I'm sure it drops a dragon heart, but right now, I kind of don't feel like fighting it. I don't want a dragon heart. I don't want to do dragon spells. Shortly after grabbing the map, we get it. Another blue skidoo. Down the road, the fingerprint ruins of Rhea. We have Rhea, Lucaria, Raya, the snake girl, and now Rhea. Hope I don't have to fight Rhea later. I really hate to die to Rhea. Currently seems like nothing here. We'll check back later. There's a big giant throwing sleep pots. I don't want to sleep, so let's throw down and then fall down. Then escape and return to throwing down. Maybe he'll drop a weapon or another big pot. Well, okay. I guess I shouldn't be mad considering we are wearing a helmet that boosts pot damage. After making it down the hole, we find another cave that is locked off by Mikola. Bummer. Well, that seems like all we can do here for now. Back to the dancing lion with another level of skidoo blessing. Surely, we are ready.
No, you ain't!
Well, as ready as we can be. This is the boss we've gotten closest to beating. Hell, yesterday we got him within 5% of his health, and now we're doing like 15% more damage with those blue skidoos. If we can get another run like that, we'll be good for a third boss in one day. Dream big. Well, no spoilers, but here's our best attempt. We get in there with the squad. Ons and Lydia here to bring the pain. Very early bleed, not Ons, it's Yash. What am I saying? Then practice dodging in a circle around the breath. It could have gone better. Yash is getting destroyed, but that leaves Lydia with more health, and when he dies, we get a big damage boost. So, hell, I'll take it. Yash dies, we get a stance break for some more damage, and then he goes for the grab. I'll take that for sure. Punish with a diving wings dance. We're getting decent luck. He starts out the airbender phase, whipping and twisting around, and then frost, which, am I just kind of good at dodging this now? Oh my god, it looks like we might do it. He aims his breath down at us, but that just gives Freya enough time to get the win. Guitar Hero 2 would never let us down. Freya brings the sword. We get the Divine Beast head, and I decide to buy the Cold Stump, Ash of War from the Round Table Hold. I will regret that. I don't think it's very good. Looks neat though. One door unlocks, we go up a big old staircase with some thorns that are blocking our path. Lita left a note. Did she already beat the lion? Where was she? Apparently we gotta head east, and our easternmost place is Raya to Caria. Oh no. It seems like Rilana is maybe an important boss. Good news, we can summon Lita for the fight. She might have always been here, but I didn't notice. Oh, also, Rilana has super duper carrion Granger Caesar, then goes full Pontiff Sullivan and sets one of her swords on fire. When Renala was studying books, Relana was studying the blade. Doming her with the frost pots activates in 2 hits, which is more than I can say from the new Stomp Ash of War. Maybe the pop buildup is just absurdly high, in which case I gotta remember that for later, but I think the Storm Stomp just kinda sucks. I didn't want to waste consumables though. We tried a bunch of different stuff for like 30 minutes. Got to some of her late stage attacks. I think Moon, Double Moon is pretty sick. Sometimes I even managed to dodge it a little bit. Nothing works. We end the stream with 4 total bosses dead. Better than yesterday. Wait, what happened to Sunday? Well, I have to write the scripts. I don't get to just play the game like y'all do. If the video is gonna come out and get edited, I can't just like play Elden Ring. It's a pretty common misconception. These videos are usually 30 minutes long, and that's a damn Big Bang Theory episode. The writers of Old Sheldon have a whole room of people working together to get those scripts done. They take turns writing it. To only have 1 episode out weekly for half of the year, and generally they're only putting their names on like 5 episodes a season at most. I gotta do all of that solo while doing Elden Ring. Corey edits. That helps a lot. He does like more than half of the work editing these, but writing still takes a lot of time, and balancing that with longer videos all back to back and streaming is rough stuff. Streaming is also hard work. I know you don't think it is, but it's draining. It's like driving a bus, but everyone on the bus gets to tell you their favorite route through town, and also you have to tell them the name of the streets you drive past, and also when your new bus is coming out, and why you haven't driven the Greyhound bus yet. That's such a good bus. When are you gonna drive that bus? Why don't you fly a plane? I know it's not a bus, but it's kind of like a bus, and I'd like to ride a plane. I went to the dentist today. Do you ever get sad and think about ending things? I don't have a therapist, but Mr. Bus Driver, you seem like the person to talk to about this. You're emotionally responsible for my well-being, and also you should turn left up here. I know it's a one-way, but I won't get in trouble because I'm not driving the bus. And also you're driving too fast. Don't brake so hard. And also seat is sticky. And also I can't hear the announcements. Why does the bisexual woman keep stabbing you so much? Is it hard to focus on the fight while I ask you why we haven't arrived at the bus stop yet? Speed rocks. I'm gonna take a day off once this video's done and just watch Speed. Keanu, Sandy Bullock, I need a break. A little speed break. Anyway, after a Google search, I find the spirit spring that leads up to Skadu Altus. We're in Fort of Reprimand with an Omen Killer. Hey, I know how to fight those. Then I find another boss, Black Knight Edred. He's got some long combos, quite long in fact, but I know how to fight the other Black Knights, just sneak around and stab them. And looks like that'll work.
I treat you like a princess, and you stab me in the back.
Totally free win. We even have bleed. We can poise break him out of several attacks with the wing stance jump. Oh, we still die in 2 hits, and he hits exclusively in combos. Might take couple of tries. We just need to make sure that our positioning is good. His big dive bomb attack is pretty easy to avoid, literally just roll into it, pretty forgiving. Depending on where you stand though, that can be harder done than said. Room's a little tight. Tip I figured out, when he's doing a combo, don't dodge backwards. Dodge to this side, keep dodging to the same side, and it just sort of spins in a circle. Also bring him outside. There's more room. Not much more to say about this one. We still flounder just cause, you know, hits hard, hits fast, gotta learn stuff. But that's fun. Haven't had to learn a boss for like a year. This is the kind of thing I love about a FromSoft game. And after about 20 minutes, we get the run. Bring him outside, get hit, then back off to double chug. Double chugging sucks. And despite having maxed out flasks, we have to do it all the time. Still, just kind of kite him back and forth until we miss the backstab. But then we bleed him out of the wing move. This guy's crucible must be bird. He whiffs a big dumb jump attack. It's his worst move by far, which means it's my favorite. Then we back up and wing stance poke for another bleed. Is Ed red? Yeah, he's red. He's bleeding. And he's a communist. Getting the aspect of the Crucible Ash of War, wings. If I had a nickel for every Ash of War that was wing themed, I'd have 2 nickels. After a little more exploring, we make it out to Skadu Altus proper, a lovely area if you don't have celiac disease. If you do, stay out. lots of wheat. There's a dragon that seems precisely like none of my business, and a hole that leads into a cave that I'm not doing right now. We're rushing Altus for more blue skidoo fragments, and find some in the Church of the Crusade, as well as finding Quelaag again.
Didn't I kill you already?
Well, if the first fight was a struggle, this one makes up for it. Simply wings dance, poke again, and repeat. Get poked on the way out, heal it off. That's what the ritual shield is for. We get the prayer room key. Damn, this game's so hard it hands you a key and says, you better get right with God, champ. Hey, remember that imbued sword key? Did we mention getting that? Well, we got an imbued sword key, and we find a portal to the ancient ruins of Ra'u? God damn it. Raya Lucaria, Raya the snake, runes of Ria, and now Ra-a. There are 26 letters, Mr. Miyazaki. Use more of them. There's a lot of people who like to correct my pronunciation, so here we have the vaginal discharge, which raises your defense with more equip load. Couldn't figure out if it was percentile or total weight. I'm sure you know now, but Streamphil can't hear you. He's driving a bus in the past. There's a Capra Demon Jr. here. He's got that Wu-Tang sword style with extra karate fighting, but he doesn't drop anything. Maybe we could farm him, but not worth it. Unless there was a grace. I'm not going through that portal every time. Find a secret spirit spring to the blue skidoo, then make our way out to the Morth ruins. Can we fall down? Appears not. Is this healing spell from Aladdin? No, it's heal from Jafar. Oh boy, another Wicker Man. I'm just gonna pass on that.
I don't want to.
All right, now we got those levels. Relana, it's time to get got. Poison pots are good, but getting the materials together every time isn't. And we still die so fast. When it comes to assessing the difficulty, I know that's controversial, and I feel like I can't really weigh in on it. I'm not playing this right. Everything is majorly overtuned for me, obviously. It's supposed to be a New Game Plus 7. But I have yet to dislike a boss fight. Remember, Wicker Men aren't bosses. They're chores you can die doing, like if you were folding your laundry and a cardigan stabbed you. This all feels kind of like a response to the base game, though. Like I've talked about how I think bosses in Elden Ring are more aggressive than enemies in Dark Souls, because they balance the game to be more fun in co-op. I've co-opted Bloodborne, Dark Souls 3, and Elden Ring. Elden Ring is by far the most fun. And Spirit Ashes are your tool to play solo if you want, with the same suggested level of difficulty as co-op. But for some reason, a lot of the community just hates Spirit Ashes and summons, because they make the game easier, even if like a lot of Elden Ring stuff makes the game easier. All that to say, maybe this is all overtuned because FromSoft is trying to say, we put ashes in the game. They're intended. The bosses are balanced for 2 people. Use the Spirit Ashes, kids. Relana specifically can turn on a dime, which is wild because she's a dime, a real swell gal. But we bring in Lita and Yash. She's just spinning around and smacking whoever comes in her direct area. There is no real trading aggro here. It's just Relana saying, let me solo you. Think about it. Power stancing swords, that is solo behavior.
It all makes sense now.
I tried too long and too hard, but it's time. Let's fully upgrade Milady and Yash. I know I like them. They're both great. Now we have 2 extra bleed buildup per hit. Amazing. That's exactly what we needed. But we also have a new strategy. Don't bring Yash right away. Don't get me wrong. Yash rocks, but he makes Relana turn. I don't want her to turn. Lita is much more of a stable figure. If we can get Relana pointing in one direction, we can run in and use the double hit of the dashing R2 that combos into the longer R1 combo and boost off the combo physic when we build up that bleed. It's foolproof, or it would be, but I am underestimating my level of foolness. Generally, we get a stance break around the phase transition. That's when we bring out Yash. It no longer matters if she is looking straight on. She's a cloud of damage that kind of goes all around the arena, in every direction, firing lasers and death and pain.
I love the kind of woman that can kick my ass.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like the vibes of this script are just like a lot more positive. Like I'm dying so much more than in a standard video, but I just love this game. Plus, I still have one more day to stream before we have to lock it down to get the video done. Once we beat Relana, we've got to have most of the hardest bosses done, right? Winning run? You bet. You think we're just gonna end the video floundering to a boss over and over again? Where's the satisfaction in that? Lita gets in there, tanks aggro, and then we run behind her. I will say, if we're considering balance, maybe the fact that every NPC needs to have roughly 2 billion HP to live through the fight could be noted, and that they still die. We get the stance break, big old crit, then charged attack as she stands up, then book it. We have friends, let them handle most of it. Jump over the moon slammers, Lita dies first, big bummer. Then Yash, she is so close, and we get a damage buff from Yash dying. Getting in is so hard though, until we do. End it with an unnecessary bleed, and hey, stream fill, how we feeling? That's what FromSoft games are all about, baby. That feeling you had as a kid fighting Bowser or Twin Rova for hours, dying over and over again, but knowing that if you won, you were so cool. Now, Bowser's easy. You can beat Ocarina of Time in an afternoon. Hell, even base game Elden Ring had me mopping up all the bosses on extended difficulties in 10 hours. This shit is hard because we are hard now. FromSoft made you hard, and it has to be hard next to you. Eventually, after you've been hard together, you'll get to feel that sweet release. Google getting hard together for a sweet release on your work computer to find out more.
Jizz.
We can cash in Rolana's boss hole for some swords or spells. Oh boy, I wonder which one we're gonna choose. It's the swords. They're light grade swords, but they have a unique two-handed move set where there's 2 of them. They scale with 4 stats, which is pretty great because we have 60 across the board. I think I'm gonna like it here. Hey, you know who's still alive? The Black Jail Knight. We've got plenty of blue skidoos. We've got a brand new weapon. We still die so fast. But so does he. At least he doesn't one-shot us anymore. How can you say the game's too hard? He doesn't even one-shot us anymore. Oh, also Wing's stance jump cheese works on him too, because he's an NPC. Should have probably tried that earlier. He drops the whole kit and caboodle, big sword and big armor. We're gonna put the armor on, but I'm keeping the head. In honor of Alexander, my BFF for real. I love jar guys. Back to Altus, try the dragon. The Black Knight wants to fight us at the same time? No. Okay, try Hole again. Don't make me over, I'm all I wanna be. There's a spell at the bottom and a path to another Jarberg with a potentate who fights back? But no pot friends. Okay, never mind, DLC sucks. I'm going to Steam right now to review bomb it. The Butcher's Knife is better here. The whip we get is a whip that has poison damage. Then a Great Rune breaks, and so has a powerful charm?
What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean?
Then another Wicker Man, but it's right next to a Spirit Spring. So come on, let me in. Let me go in that head. Let me do it. Let me have that head. I'm going into the head. Let me into the head. I want into the head. God damn it. They had an opportunity to make one of these dudes fun, and they didn't. This sucks. Oh well. Hey Phil, can you summarize your feelings playing this game? What you got? Oh, something bad's gonna happen to me now. Something bad is gonna happen to me. Seriously, something nasty's about to hop out of this water at any time. I'm so ready for it. There's something moving under the water. Ooh, come on, I can't wait to see.
I hope you're hungry for nothing.
Oh well, there's a Mesmer Priest. I do not like these guys. Why do they all have the poise and all the health and all the damage? You have to pick 2 of those. We'll use the roof to block the fire and are rewarded for killing him with
nothing.
Okay, run around like it's on Orlando up the spires across the ceilings to get the shiny 4 feathers, also known as
nothing.
Then use the prayer room key.
It's time to pray.
Quaalig is here and we literally can't kill him. Pretty strong move. Oh, but the room has plenty of
nothing.
Call me Ben Shapiro because I'm removing all wetness from this place. Let's say, hypothetically, my wife was a castle. If that was the case, then she would be bone dry. Found out what was inside the water, an ulcerated tree spirit. Hey, I have a Fire Ash of War that's pretty good. It feels crazy to hit something and deal a reasonable amount of damage to it in this game. Let's freaking go. Not a boss, but it drops a spell that lets us roll to bleed. Overall, pretty productive day, I'd say. Surely tomorrow will be the same. We just have to beat all the other bosses, or die trying. Back to that Shadow Keep. We just keep up with that shadow. Ignore Mesmer's Priest and get the Mesmer casting seal, our first casting seal, and our first option for casting spells in the DLC. I'm sure we'll get great use out of it. Then the longest elevator I've seen outside the Citadel, all the way down to the bottom where we find the Skadu Tree avatar. Seems weak as hell to fire. Unless there's more than meets the eye with this one, we're finally in for an easy win.
I'm gonna tell him.
Don't Don't you dare.
He leads off with some thorns, they hit wicked hard, but he is for sure a member of the Erd Tree Avatar Ulcerated Tree Spirit family. Big slow attacks that aren't all that hard to dodge, but break you the fudge down. Wait, for real? Is this guy hard?
Oh, honey.
See? We beat it already. Oh, then phase 2 starts, and he's faster. Damn, Sunflora got hit with that sunny day. Elden Stars the second is a huge pain in the ass. Still gotta figure out how to dodge that. Probably should figure out how to dodge the opening attack as well. You know, we're gonna be stuck here a while. Let's go get some more stuff. Missed an obvious Scadu tree fragment right outside the Rilana fight. That's embarrassing. Then we get a monk's missive, because someone wants to throw hands and teach us how to throw hands. Lita wants to start murdering other people to make sure she's Miquella's biggest fan. I don't think that's Miquella's vibe. Can you imagine if people followed a god whose message was universally about peace, forgiveness, and charity, and used that as an excuse for violence, vengeance, and hoarding obscene amounts of wealth? Anyway, Jesus, this Wicker Man is burninating the whole village while I look for blue skidoos I've already grabbed from here. We're just taking our time to get as many blue skidoos as we can. I'm kind of getting worried that even when we do get them all, we're still gonna be boned. The Morth Ruins Grace is apparently a lovely hub with which to grab fragments, but also we apparently already grabbed like half of them. Whoops. Down to the Cerulean coast, it sure is misty down here. Back to that little cavern that was blocked off, and the door is open. Probably because we beat Rilana, or maybe even just the Lion Dancer. Have we been back since then? I don't know. But this place is huge and rad. Can't wait to explore it more later when I won't die quite as fast. Still probably pretty fast. Lest you think this will be boring, no, 2 fragments are being held at the front door of the Shadow Keep by a hippopotamus. That's a boss. He's got a goblin grab and a lot of other chomps. Honestly, I was pretty sure this was just a normal hippo. From real life, those things are deadly as hell. But then he gets a bunch of porcupine spines, or, hear me out, it's a wig? That wig snatches Yash and we get got a little later. Seriously though, nothing he does other than the spines are something a real hippo isn't capable of. Did you know a hippo can run as fast as a horse? They don't swim. They drop to the bottom of the river and fucking run. Hippos are herbivores, but they still kill shit. Why? They like it. They kill for fun. They have the strongest bite of all land animals. You think that's for vegetables? It's for murder. Normally I'm all for conservation, but I'm starting a charity to make hippos go extinct. These bastards are evil and the world would be a safer place for all creatures if they were gone. Okay, well, I mean, it's gonna grow up to be dangerous. Every animal looks cute when it's drinking from a bottle. Maybe we just make them stay in pools. Oh God, it's got such a little boop snoot. Okay, hippos can live, but not this hippo. It's getting the fire tornado, which really seems to carve up bosses with big bodies and lots of places to take those eruption hitboxes. Seems like the stance pressure might be pretty good too. That's the only stance break we get. Although he really reminds me of the Bloodborne pigs. I wish we could just run to the ass and get elbow deep.
Nothing wrong with that.
He drops 2 blue skidoos, and we have access to the other half of Shadow Keep. This ghost seems to think that Marika would never abandon her child.
I love all my children equally. I don't care for
Mesmer. Golden Vow? What do you mean? Is there a new Golden Vow spell that's different than the spell? Yes, it's a craftable item, which means we can now get Golden Vow in the DLC. I quite like that. Here we go into a bit of a discourse on the review bombing. No, here's the issue, is that games journalists are just too good at video games, right? Like, games journalists famously love difficult games, and that's why games journalists gave it such a good score, is because they famously like their games a little too hard. They don't understand what real gamers want. Because what real gamers want is like an easy mode for Elden Ring, right? That's what all the real gamers have been demanding, that Elden Ring get an easy mode to make it more accessible for people. And games journalists have been gatekeeping Elden Ring and wanting it to be harder, because games journalists are the real villains here. So this is a problem with ethics in games journalism. Anyway, here's my big criticism. The game has too many directions to go. There's too much to explore, and I'm only one tarnished who can only go one direction. This time, I went across a big bridge. How are we meant to outrun the magma rain? Truly a mystery. What could it be? You can get on your horse. I didn't realize you could get on your horse. And hey, we're back to the ancient ruins of ruins. But I'm so easily distracted. Let's go back, grab some more blue skidoos. For that, we have to climb up the research hall from the old hunters. Seriously, this place really feels like that. It's even got weird flesh mound enemies. Classic Miyazaki move, make us jump on some toes to keep climbing up, then find a note that says we need to drain the castle. I already did that. Pro gamer move. The next Mesmer Priest has holy attacks too that knock you over as he gatekeeps the stairs. I hate him. Looks like Lydia's here doing some research. Thanks again for your help with the lion. Let me know if you need some help reading. No offense, I just don't know if Redmane Castle is the best place to learn things. What am I talking about? Radon studied sorceries, and it's right there in the name. These knights are well read, man. We fought one hippo, yes, but what about a second hippo? This one's smaller, but does that make it less dangerous? Yes. We can summon for it. That makes me think it's gonna drop something. Just like the big version, he's got a big gobble, but it actually doesn't even do half our health. Is that allowed? I thought every grab was supposed to be a one-shot now. Here we go. Scadu tree fragment, right here for doing that. Oh my God, I was kidding! I really love these ancient ruins. Do we really need to go fight more stuff? Honestly, this place seems pretty unfucked by the Shattering War. It's grassy, lush, the enemies didn't hit us very hard. Can't seem to find many bosses in the areas I can reach. Pitch a tent, Tarnished. You're always home if you want to be. Through some caves, we find some pot guys, some of whom drop shit, some of whom do not. After a bit of running around, I find our way to Ymir, who is giving some sketchy vibes. He also gives us a cool sounding stone, and I know where to put that. Put it in Urea. Oh, sorry, Rhea Ruins is how it's pronounced. After we do, we get a Crimson Seed Talisman +1, and like...
Is that it?
But actually, with our massive health pool, this talisman is goated, saving us from ever needing to triple chug and often turning double chugs into single chugs.
Oh yeah, that's it.
Now we can deliver the news and oh ho ho, who's this? It's Jolan. She's mean and has no interest in us.
Hello?
I love you.
Ymir heard the sounding we did. I imagine it would be hard to stay quiet for that. Gives us the beloved Stardust, a talisman that gives you 50 virtual dexterity, but makes you take 25% more damage? Gotta say, that seems terrible. The bosses get faster in the DLC. It doesn't even let you cast faster than you could with maxed out dex. It's literally just a replacement for dexterity, and you get it in an area you have to at very least have beaten Moog and Radon to get to. If you are far enough in to get this talisman, your dexterity should at least be the point where Radigan's icon is good enough for casting speed. This is so ass. Reset at the Grace and Jolan will talk to us a bit more, ending with enough of you. Ymir is in the graveyard, mourning the dead kid. Mourning? I thought he wanted to talk about night. Rabbit Rise? Yeah, they're great jumpers. Easily find the secret wall to unlock the Spirit Spring, jump up, and get the Rabbit Cannon. I was worried it would be some lame spell that makes a little blue torch or something. It's a goddamn artillery cannon. Now back to our regularly scheduled Avatar butt crushing. I'm getting a little better at getting to phase 2, where I die so fast. Forget what I said about him being slow and hitting hard. Now he's fast and hits harder than he did in the first phase. Did realize Yash was doing jack in the fight, so saving the magic will let us hit more fire tornadoes, which is probably better, at least for phase 1, when there's time to get them off. We tried a few strategies, but yeah, nothing works, so we're gonna bail again. While taking a little break for my little butt, I remembered that we checked out the ruins of Starfall Past, but haven't actually gone that deep in there. Maybe there's something good, or maybe it leads to a new area with more Scadu tree fragments. Who knows? First, we get the Smith Script Spear, which lets you yeet your spear, probably a good idea. That's kind of one of the best parts of using a spear in real life. This puzzle gets me a little stuck. Then I realize you pull a lever. If you've ever been the dungeon master of a D&D campaign, you know how it goes when you set up the easiest puzzles for your players and they just can't figure it out. Well, Elden Ring's a little better. In Elden Ring, there has to be a lever to miss. In Dungeons & Dragons, players will just stand outside an unlocked door for 20 minutes trying to figure out how to pick the lock. without trying to open the door. The second room is a bit more of a puzzle with a clever fake out. You assume it's the same as the first room, pull the lever and go through it. That lets us find the Smithstone Cirque. You don't cowabunga into the bottomless pit, by the way, worth a shot. After a lot of running around, we figure out that you have to pull the lever to make the locked doors come back up, but run really fast and stand on it to get that ancient, meteoric, or great sword. A colossal sword that deals a lot of piercing damage and lets you dash forward with the Ash of War, then explode. None of that's going to change anything for the Scadutree avatar, but I do figure some stuff out. 1. It seems pretty easy to bait his head into moves that let you smack it for a bunch of extra damage in phase 1, and it's not as wiggly as an ancient dragon. That's kind of cool. It's almost like a fusion of a standard dragon and an ulcerated tree spirit. 2, actually that's all we figured out. I'm able to get to phase 2 a little consistently, but it's just hitting us too hard, and I'm struggling to get the timing down on moves in phase 2. Hell, I still don't have the timing down on moves in phase 1. I'll just need more time on this boss. I thought we'd be so over-leveled that the DLC would be a cakewalk. Thought that my skills after 2 years of fighting the base game bosses would make me good enough for whatever FromSoft had ready, but I was wrong. No, I haven't been beaten. You can't lose Elden Ring. You can die, but you always come back. The only way Elden Ring can beat you is if you let it, if you quit.
I will follow you.
Okay, so there's no other way to describe what this 4-hour stream is than just trying to follow the last 15 minutes of the IGN guide to Blue Skidoo fragments. First issue, finding Caro's hidden grave. It says to follow the path hugging the left from the castle front grace, but if you do that, it takes you to Thalia. Trust me, I don't think there's an Elden Ring creator who wants to go further left than me. I unironically want safe injecting sites for drug addicts. It just makes more sense to me that a trained medical professional would be more likely to suggest addiction treatment than a drug dealer who would be economically incentivized to worsen your addiction. But we really need to be center left, so I guess beat and arrest the homeless, but don't go full gladiator mode and make them fight lions. Now that's what I call American centrism. You know you're going the right way when you find this guy.
There is life in me yet.
Okay.
I will soon feast upon your heart. Mark my words. You too shall know fear.
That guy yells.
We fight an ancient dragon man who's using the Dragon Maw spells. No comment. Maybe they just seem a little slow and easy to dodge. You just have to hit someone and then they don't get to use it. That's, I guess, all I'd say. Great spell, though. Into a cave. I was almost right. Why does it feel like I should jump, though? Avoid the call to the void. Always trust those instincts, lest ye be killed by skeletons. Why would you not just jump into the void that would normally kill you? Then we have an ancient dragon man boss fight. It's another NPC boss. Noticing a lot of those in the DLC so far, and yeah, he hits us twice when we lose. We have to hit him about 50 times to win. It's a little skewed in his favor, but it only takes us 3 attempts. It's really not all that bad. Honestly, you ever realize how the foot of the Jagged is super mid? Well, agree to disagree, I guess. Jagged Peak Drake is fighting the Jagged Peak Kendrick, and boy, it seems like the dragon that's on our team does not like us.
I'ma do my stuff.
It's okay, that's not what I was looking for anyway. Per the guide, we gotta find the dragon body and go west up its body, and that leads to a big bottomless pit. You need to go south, a direction that has a lot in common with west because they're both on compasses. However, it's a different direction. Oh well, we've made it to Churro's hidden rave and can fight a Tibia Mariner. Hey, I can do that. It's gonna summon skeletons or whatever. Oh, he can summon Royal Revenants? Pass. I don't need no death spaghetti. Wait, is it still death spaghetti? Damn, now I'm kind of curious. We're here for a hippo. Boy howdy, I sure do love killing hippos. It might seem like we get grabbed a lot, but to be fair, its grab looks weird. Its legs seem like they should be running faster, but it just kind of yabba dabba doos. Then back to Dragon Peak and just kind of ignore the dragon fight. Wasn't there supposed to be a J. Cole dragon in here? I guess he kind of bailed on it. Probably a good call. Avoiding the tumbling rocks and then get to the Blue Skidoo tree. There's an ancient dragon boss, Sneeze Sex, but that sounds like a great way to get sick. And I can't really afford to take a day off right now, so skip. We'll clean up the overworld bosses eventually, but today I'm grabbing Blue Skidoos, which by the way, thank you commenters for pointing out that it is not actually pronounced Blue Skidoo. Wow, that was definitely how I thought it was really pronounced. You're so helpful. We didn't go far enough through Skadu Altus to get to the Rao base. I don't need any spirit springs or to fight the red bear for the blue Skadu. I'm just pretty cool, so I see stuff and I have to chase it. Didn't realize it would be another NPC boss in here, but once I die and we come back, we just hit him with the Milady. Second try win. Already have 2 bosses done and we're less than an hour into the stream.
He is the one.
I was supposed to find the little ruins and jump into a hallway to grab the blue Skidoo. Platforming, it's the ultimate boss. Now we enter the area of the guide I like to call Draw the Rest of the Owl. Based on this classic art meme, step 1, draw a couple circles. Step 2, draw the rest of the owl. So for an example of that from the IGN guide, they tell you you cannot miss this blue Skidoo fragment because it's right before the main boss of the Shadow Keep. Now IGN, can you assume that maybe I don't know where the main boss of the area is, especially considering that in Shadow Keep there are debatably 2 main bosses. Can't find that one for now, we'll come back to it later.
Once you're inside the church district, jump across the rooftops to reach the sunken chapel, and then jump onto the statue's arm to loot the Skadu tree fragment.
Okay, did you see the cut? Did you see how there isn't a statue by the place you jumped down on the rafters? Where is the rest of the owl? Our area is no longer flooded, but that's not really a problem. You can do everything in Wet Town that you could do in Dry Town, and you can do everything in Dry Town that you could do in Wet Town. Like fall down a lot. Eventually, I figure out the statue on which I am meant to jump, but I am on the ground floor, meaning that I have to jump around the world one more time, quit out to avoid the Mesmer Priest, and hit the jump. Easy enough. Next seed.
From the church district, find the elevator that takes you into the storehouse.
Find the elevator is the direction. This is a guide. I'm here because I need help to find the elevator. Also, do you know what this area is freaking chock full of? Elevators. If this gets someone to listen to Come On Pilgrim or Surfer Rosa by the Pixies, it's all worth it. I found a grace, that's neat. The good news is, all this exploring requires FromSoft's signature slippery platforming. After 20 minutes, we find it. I'm not going to tell you where it is. That's not my job. I'm kidding. It's on the mid-level. You run past the Mesmer Priests, going around that Marika statue that the last blue Skidoo was on, and across this little bridge. That's not even like the tree fragment, though. We still gotta climb a snake eater ladder and work our way all the way through the outside of the area. Then up the rafters and go to, quote, the north section of the room to drop down. I find an elevator going down. That's not what I was supposed to find. Here's the problem. There's no platform on the north side of the room. There are 2 platforms, one on the northwest and one on the northeast, but no platform dead north. So the direction north really just gives you a coin toss to get there. I flipped the coin right. We were able to ride down another elevator and grab a Skadu tree fragment. We even unlocked a new area, Skadu Blue, and Combhander Gaius. We were still recording this in June, so happy Pride to Gaius. We did not land a hit. Probably not an important or hard boss. It's fine. Next clue on this little treasure hunt we're doing, find the room with the burning boats.
Why will elaborate on that?
No, I won't.
Okay, well, I remember passing burning boats, but like earlier, not in the flooded area, I think. Apparently somebody looted Moog's corpse after something happened to him. I didn't do anything. 8 times. Mikola is looking to puppet his body as a king consort, and yikes. We get a private letter for Freya and we can read it, but apparently Radon's body is also missing after something happened to him. We certainly didn't do anything. 8 times. Okay, I remembered where the boats are burning, but I fell down the wrong way, so now I'm fighting a Black Knight until, who cares? Let's just do it again more correct. Or just go find a shortcut back to the Graces, I guess. That works too. Oh, also, someone in chat was saying IGN went downhill because of woke. And like, is woke just anything you don't like? The guide didn't mention that I had to go through a secret wall because woke. IGN was too busy adding a small rainbow flag graphic to their layout, and the guy who made this guide was also the one who had to take the time to put the pride flag up, so the guide got worse. Are your brains made of tapioca? Do you not remember 7.8 Too Much Water 10 years ago? IGN is a massive corporate gaming review site, and it's plagued by the same thing all reviews and guides are: subjectivity. Don't take this section of the video as a reason to go dog on IGN. Some guy had to make this, and probably tried to keep it as succinct as possible, cutting things he thought weren't crucial. And I just disagree about what those are. He's probably a fine person. It's a fine guide. Most of the comments seemed helped by it. Hell, I was helped by it, despite all my whinging. Anyway, fall down the hill, fight more hippo. They call this one the hip-hop-opotamus. His combos are bottomless. There's a second hippo, though this one has a horn, so maybe it's more of a rhinoceros. Turns out 2 hippos at the same time are a bit more than I could handle, which I should have known from that time I went to the Madagascar-themed swingers mixer. Gloria and Moto saw me from across the bar, and they dug my vibe. Anyway, second hippo has hit the lower Skadu Altus. We get another blue Skidoo. Okay, open up a second guide that isn't from IGN, and it's not that hard to find Mesmer. I missed a big lever that rotates the statues hanging from the ceiling, and that's neat. Then the blue Skidoo is impossible to miss. Mesmer's cutscene is just like, that's good stuff. First, there's a little snake that says hi, but then Messi prepares his 18 inches for you because dude has some mommy issues. Well, get ready to have more because we're going to... Ow. Okay, I wanted to lock onto him, but that didn't seem like... Oh! Well, oh. So that didn't really count. Next time, Yash comes in and helps us. Oh God, he's dying fast. Oh my God, Mesmer's just so fast.
He's a freak. He's a fast killer. He's a fast killer.
Attempt 3. We find out we can summon Jolan.
I love her.
Finally, you know what they say. The couples that die together, cry together, and baby, we're freaking toast. Okay, maybe we still need some more Skidoos. Speaking of, here's some Skidoos. Falling down the graves is annoying. Damn, dank-like catacombs? They should make like an item that makes it easier to see in the dark. Yeah, that'd be nice, but you can also just pull the levers here to light stuff up. And the imps have a little glow around them, so you know where they are. Just make sure you don't whiff them because they fully two-shot you. Later in the dungeon, there's a big mouth imp. Finally make it to the bottom and we're fighting Jory the Elder, I hardly know her, Inquisitor, I hardly know her. This Deacon of the Deep is in his summoning era, and I would honestly love another go at this boss fight with some big honky smack stick. I'm one of those few people who think that Deacons is a fun boss fight in Dark Souls 3, but we can't do it a second time because we got the first try win. And that wasn't even a named boss. Maybe things are finally turning around. Time for a scary swamp. I know that it's scary because the game keeps leaving notes saying it's scary. Torrent is so scared they won't ride into the swamp.
I'm so f***ing scared right now, you shut up!
But honestly, I don't get it. You just have to walk more. Ooh, cardio, I'm so scared. Definitely didn't know anything about that from every fight against Placidusax, Valiant Gargoyles, Rykard, and the Elden Beast. And yes, I do know that you can now ride Torrent in the Elden Beast. Some spooky dude drops the Frenzy hand so we can throw hands if we want, but like, unless Frenzy has started to do more damage to enemies that can't be afflicted by it, I don't care. Frenzy Flame Perfume Bottle, great, because I didn't already lose my mind when people said, the perfume bottle is actually good if you use the poop stomp reservoir. I can't believe you said the perfume bottles were bad when you didn't grab the poop stomp reservoir. On the video where I explained that this was my first time in the DLC, I hadn't seen everything and didn't know everything, and that nothing you tell me now is something I will know in the past. I'll say it again though, nothing you tell me now is something I'll know in the past. I warned y'all not to mention the poop stomper, and now look what you get. Another video and no consequences. Keep it up. I'll make a video next week too. More messages, get sneaky, hide, and know that you can't fight these amazing, dangerous enemies. Wait a second. This is the Frenzy area. Oh my God, I know who wrote these messages. Yura! That little coward can't beat anyone. These enemies are so easy. This is the easiest area I've been to. Obviously, Yura is the only dude weak enough to struggle here. Okay, now we have some Winter Lanterns out of Bloodborne and they're invincible. That's a little creepy, but I've got cardio. Eventually, I just let one grab me to see if it looked cool. It didn't. We died, and it didn't even look cool. That's the worst. If you're gonna kill me, make it look cool. Back to the ruins. Apparently, Ra'au is wrong. Gordon, how do you pronounce it?
It's rule.
Find the Spirit Spring, hop to it and through it, and ignore the new Crucible Knight with the big hammer, even though... oh, that could be pretty cool. Next one is up a Spirit Spring past some Spider Scorpions and the Spider Scorpion Ashes. The ashes named Spider Scorpion. Duh, who wants to tell Phil they're not spiders, they're scorpions? Well, who wants to tell you?
Go outside, nerd. Get out. Go.
Find another Wicker Man, skip another Wicker Man, then find the last blue Skidoo fragment we can find that the IGN guy said was in a pot man, and it's just on the ground. Whatever. Now there's only one thing we can do. Beat Commander Gay, us. I do so much better my second try. Because remember my first try, I didn't land a hit. This time, I landed like 3. Okay, so the commander here is pretty fast. He's faster than the horse is for the most part, and staying on Torrent gets Torrent killed and gets you beaten to jelly in the ground. So probably no Torrent. Or maybe kind of Torrent, like you do against Radon, although you can Torrent against Radon because there's a small army fighting him. Right now it's like us, and that's it. The charge is pretty rough to dodge. He literally starts every fight with it. Initially, I'm favoring the Milady with Mobility, trying to get that proc off, but it's just not twerking out. I thought Yash might not be all that helpful because he'll die really quick, and I'm partially right. He dies really quick, but he's rather helpful. Maybe we can redeem Andreas, but no, he's a lover, not a fighter. Definitely not a fast one. He's just desperately trying to keep up with the mounted commander. The shield doesn't even make him tankier than Yash. He just gets sauced and tossed. So back to Yash. Eventually I see if we can maybe just like skip him, but no, there's a fog wall. The only way to those last blue skidoos is Blueska through Commander Gaydu. And more often than not, he's just going through us. Finally swapped the Rolana swords just to see how the Flame Ash of War does, and the first test is pretty promising. We die, but it pumps things out faster than trying to proc bleed. Now let's try to get Yash to distract him while we spin. It works, still he dies, but the flame has another good thing going for it. It keeps flaming after we stop spinning, meaning if we gotta roll or stop because we took a hit, we're still at least doing some damage. It doesn't help that every fight starts with both us and Yash getting pulverized by the charge, but maybe we can just run in and get the summon? Well no, remember, he's faster than the horse, so no matter where we go, he just kind of runs us down and runs us over. The healing spirals he puts us in are so brutal. You can't really space yourself safely from him because that just baits the charge move, which I have not figured out how to dodge at this point. Then you have to heal, and you get hit while you heal, so the whole fight can just be you losing all your flasks. I noticed sometimes we took extra damage from the charge, presumably because rolling put our head down, got us headshot. Well, if we can't roll, it's probably 100% physical damage. We can just block it. That shield we got from Castle Ensis has 100% physical defense. We can max it out for maximum guard boost, and that should mean we don't take any damage. I mean, maybe our guard gets broken, but at least we'll live.
You sure about that?
We gotta get things ready for the big day, big day. We gotta get things ready for the special.
Okay, so we're going to use the Maka 91 guide to Revered Spirit Ashes. He's not IGN, and he does a great job. These are so much easier to follow. If you need a guide, use these guides. Don't worry, we're not going to be spending quite as long following this guide, partially because Maka does a better job, but also because we're just at the end of maxing out all of the stuff we can max out, and spoiler alert, the DLC feels much more balanced once you have all your upgrades in order. I get a little annoyed running through the Frenzy Swamp because I don't like stealth sections in any game. I dislike the entire games because they're stealth action, but sometimes there are not stealth games that add stealth sections and just like, oh, like in the Arkham games, the parts where you're like, hey, bullets kill you really hard. Hope you like watching guards walk past you slowly. Or Last of Us, how they're like, ooh, loving these emotional beats of the story. You know what would help that story rhythm? Crawl around in a bush and wait for a zombie to walk past you slowly. And in every single one of these games, the same thing happens every time. Eventually, I make one little misstep, and then...
Now all of China knows you're here.
Cowabunga time. In some games, cowabunga means run. In some games, it means kill everyone. But in Elden Ring, it just means quit. Just quit the game. The enemies will be gone. Riveting. It's probably just because I'm a big old bear of a man in real life and have never been able to subtly move through the world. We made it to Midra's Manse, and oh my god, they admit it. It's mid. There's a diary fragment and like, ugh, that's another video game pet peeve. Scientist log diary fragments or codex entries. I guess sometimes you have more lore than you were able to fit into the story of the game, but that's something FromSoft usually nails so hard. Everything is so purposeful, and then the context is provided if you care to dive into item descriptions. But this is the first time I've seen FromSoft put lore in the diary pages. My god, everything in this house is falling to the chaos god. Oh no, I'll journal and start writing things down. What do you mean? Hope you have your rusty quill ready. I don't find another one, probably because I'm not looking for them, but maybe there also aren't anymore, and I was complaining about one diary page. Whatever. The rest of this area is neat though. Like, it's the horn scent that we can horn send to horny jail. Secret paintings you can roll through. That's super fun. And major Bloodborne Pain Hurts Castle vibes, which is my favorite level in that game. And my favorite boss. Is the boss here going to be my favorite in Elden Ring? One way to find out. For the first revered Spirit Ash in here, we gotta fight Big Chungus, who I'm a little more intimidated by than I need to be. He doesn't really hit that hard. Just kind of whack him. That might be the blue skidoos finally kicking in. Last one's just on a chandelier. I don't see a better way to get it, so let's swing. That's the last of the upgrades we can get until Gaius is in the ground, and I'll say, Yash is living a lot longer here at +8 than he was at +6. We're getting to phase 2 more consistently, figuring out windows to punish. They're tight windows, for sure, but they are there. His stance also has to be absurd because I'm just now realizing, watching the footage back, we never get a stance break. Not once. After a few attempts, I realize we can summon Yash, then step to the right to make sure he's charging us and not our littlest lad. His phase 2 transition dive isn't all that bad. Actually, I think a lot of his phase 2 moves are easier to punish than the phase 1 moves. Don't tell Miyazaki I said that. Some runs go better than others. Sometimes we have to start by running away right at the start of the fight because the spirit bell can't get it up. The biggest thing is we're just living longer in the fight. Maybe we're not winning, but if you're dying slower, you get more practice dodging the moves. So yeah, if you're struggling with the DLC, look up a guide, get the blue skidoos. Everything is balanced for that. I'm not really sure if I'm in favor of or against that. Still haven't done a normal run. Don't really know how to feel about any of this. Other than like, I think it's rad. I will say, yes, NG+7 does affect Shadow of the Erdtree. Bunch of people seem to think that it doesn't. It 100% does. I'll also say the people on the other side saying, I actually beat the game in New Game +7 with bare fists and none of the bosses were that hard, are just as bad as the review bombers. Because like if none of these bosses are hard, like dog, what's hard? Interacting with another person face to face? Yes. Yes, it is. Anyway, after about 20 minutes, we get the download. Yash comes in. We dodge the charge.
I don't know if you're allowed to do that.
Twice.
I don't know if you're allowed to do that.
Yash is rocking the moveset, teleporting in and out to stay alive a lot longer. The Buck and Bronco combo move is definitely one of my favorite punish windows, not like the big dive. Then we get clipped by a charge and start a nice little healing spiral. Getting the fire tornado off is huge. Then we dodge another charge.
I don't know if you're allowed to do that.
And Yash finally dies. We're out of flasks, our health is low, fudge it. Activate tornado. The extra damage from Yash's corpse pulls us through. Let's go! Wasn't even close. Oh, also we used Golden Vow, the consumable. It's kind of nice once you get the boss download to just take less damage. The remembrance could be nice, but the real reward is the blue skidoo chalice up here with 5 blue skidoo fragments outside of it. Knocking 5 of the defense materials behind a wicked hard boss?
Is there something wrong with you?
Gotta love FromSoft. Well, out of the frying pan into the fire, it's Mesmer time. Opening dive, super easy to dodge, and punish with a fully charged R2. Someone said his big flip to multi-thrust combo was like the Mesmer ducky dance, and like, no it isn't. It's not even close. It's a rough move for sure, but at most you're gonna get poked a few times without being able to dodge. We made it to phase 2, which is pretty rad. Get the cutscene. Mesmer, what are you doing with your fingers? Okay, so I don't know what it's saying thematically, but people in Elden Ring are all about self-mutilation for power. Godric cuts off his arm, Fire Giant cuts off his foot, Horalu pulls a lion off of his back, Ranni ditches her whole body, Melania lets Radahn clip her arm to dodge an attack. Then when you fight her, fully drops more of her limbs off, O'Neill is wimpier than Niall, who has a prosthesis, and Mikola is leaving pieces of himself all around the world. So what's the motive? Or should I say, what's the motif? Anyway, Mesmer is a snake now and he goes boom. Big stance break right away. Jolan finally shows up. Hey, Shadows of Yharnam called. They want their giant fucking snakes back. Look, I love Jolan, but Mesmer is simply too fast. And she kind of just runs around behind. Also, her name is Jolan. Ymir calls her Jolan. I thought it was Yolan. And then Ymir calls her Jolan. So, because the character in the game said Jolan, I'm pronouncing it Jolan. Does that make sense? because of the words, because of how I heard it with my ears. That's basically our second serious attempt. Honestly, the worst part of this fight is the goddamn menu for summoning. It starts on no, which makes your hand move it over to yes, and that is a problem, either letting Mesmer turn Yash into a demi-human kebab or impale you with his 18 inches. There are some perks to summoning Jolan in here, mainly that it doesn't give Mesmer extra health, but I think because she's not summoned outside, that also means we can't see her health, and I don't know how alive or dead she is. Other great things about her, I love her, but other great things about her, she has bleed and will help us stack bleed against him as well. I don't know why America's fire-obsessed children have so much hemophilia going on, but I'll take it. The phase transition snake is also super easy to punish, and we're generally pretty close to a stance break around when phase 2 starts, but the big snake explosion move is actually kinda hard to dodge. Still wouldn't put it on Ducky Dance level. Really, I would just say Mesmer isn't the Melania of the DLC. He's more like the Malekith? Hard for sure, mandatory to get to the end, but like, definitely pretty doable. I'm sure even Blue Skidoo Avatar is pretty doable. I just haven't tried since we leveled up our Blue Skidoo Blessings. I'm starting to get a little more confident, so let's hit Golden Vow before we Golden Plow. That's what all the runners do anyway. Phil, why don't you hit Golden Vow before every boss fight? Because it's out of the way and I don't want to get it. Same reason I probably won't go farming crafting materials for these. Honestly, it's not totally different than Rolana. Just wait for the aggro to be put on someone else, then hit the dash combo to get in. Oh, also like Rolana, manage your greed. 1 or 2 hits, that's the punish. His aggro seems way more tuned to us. If I tickle him with 1 hit, he's on us for 30 seconds. But if Yash does a full Waffle House combo, he's still not sure if he wants to fight him. Sometimes we cheat on Jolan with Horn Scent just because it's easier to summon him, but cheating with Jolan, I think the song makes it clear it's the other way around. He also has bleed, fine option, but I don't love him. And the next attempt, she kills Mesmer. We run in and struggle to summon. But I know my #1 gal is worth it. Mesmer tries to grab Yash, but he doesn't work like that, my guy. You can't grab my little demi-human unless you buy me a drink first. I like Diet Cola. Phase 2 is a go, with a stance break, and the whole party is alive. Giant snake time, I know, to back the hell up and heal. That's still not as bad as Rykard's Hell phase, just because it's over so much faster. Like, yeah, we don't get to punish this, but at least we're not just running around for 40 seconds. Bleed him down, he's so close, he turns into a big snake and kills us. But Jolan kills him. See, he died.
Does not count.
Then we have a couple of rough ones in a row. I mean, look, I was saying he wasn't like super oppressively hard, but he might be a little oppressively hard. Maybe I like being pressed a little bit. But then we get a run where we kill him. Here it is. Avoid the explosion and get some hits. Then summon or whiff it and walk back to summon. Works great. Jolan is hitting her Ducky Dance Jr. Then we get hit with Mesmer's piercing attack that's so much worse. We took a chip of damage. Phase 2 starts off perfect. Get a stance break. Get a bleed crit. And we've only got 20% left. Avoid the giant fire snakes. Let Jolan take the aggro. Then duck under the small snakes. It's just a few more hits left and we finish at the same time. I'm impaled by Mesmer's 18 inches, and he's leaking the juices from my lighter implement. But Jeff?
Does not count.
Okay, some more rough ones, and then I promise no more debating. This is the one. Avoid the explosion. Let Yash take the aggro while we call up Jolan. Take a lot more damage from his thrust combo this time, but it's still not deadly. There's just enough time where you can easily dodge the final thrust. If you're dying to this, it's because you need Skidoo tree levels. Phase 2 combo, stance break. Yash dies to the super snakes, and we take a few hits too, but then just 1 more bleed, and that's it. Mesmer down. Definitely didn't feel all that bad. I'd say it's probably the easiest Remembrance boss we've done so far, but it's also the one we fought with the highest Blue Skidoo level. Maybe his moveset clicks with me, or maybe Blue Skidoos are just really important. Either way, we did it. That's double the Remembrance bosses we've beaten so far.
From what, 2 to 4?
Yep.
That's a much more appropriate place for that clip. But you know what? I'm still hungry for more. As we come back from a short break, it's time to use Mother to unlock fingers. Just remember the acronym, Man, I Love Fingers, or MILF for short. We've got to put our fingers in the jars first in Bonnie Village and find the Oh Mother emote, then use it in front of a statue at the bottom of Shadowkeep. Intuitive gameplay, how could you miss that? Then we get attacked by a tree sentinel, wait, before finding the finger ruins of Aroa. Do some more sounding, then bring it back to Jay and Ymir, Jay being short for Jolan, of course. After getting more of the quest done, Jolan is more open to being friends with us, and the throne is more open to being opened. Underground, we get to fight Knight Anna, or I guess it was just a puppet. Guess she's only sort of Knight Anna. And we find a hand boss, Meter. Oh shit. FromSoft used AI. Look how fucked up the fingers are. It's a dead giveaway. AI users will show you this and be like, hey, it's actually getting pretty good at doing hands now, okay? Back to the Skadu view and through the Shaman village, there's so much important lore here explaining who Marika is, why she became a god, why she sought vengeance. So much to explore.
Let's just skip it.
Yeah, I'm here to fall down to the secret top part of Rabbit's Rise to see the Anna puppet. Technically, I missed some dialogue, but no big deal. You just have to climb back up the ladder after beating the puppet, but before fighting Medir. And you can talk to Jolan about the Anna puppet. Oh well, this isn't an all NPC video, and all the quests are still forgiving in this one. Back to the ruins, there are 3 sets of finger ruins and 3 sets of fingers in the base game. Coincidence? I think not. I'm assuming the one that leads to the Finger Mother are the ones attached to the fingers that Ronnie killed. Then the ones in the Round Table Hold are the ruins in the Blue Skidoo view, and the Frenzied ones are the ruins down south. No idea why. Actually, that's not true. My justification is the underground ones are both underground, so the underground ruins underneath this church and the Ronnie ones are both underground. The Blue Skidoo view one is close to Marika's village, and Marika was also important in the Round Table Hold, so I think those two are connected. And then I guess the Frenzied ones are just process of elimination. Anyway, the Mother of Fingers. Have you met her? There is so much Bloodborne energy in this DLC. She feels like a mix of the One Reborn and Rom the Spider, which makes sense. The finger creepers are like little hand spiders. But like the One Reborn, this is a horrifying thing that should not be, and its little legs just kind of attack you sometimes out of nowhere, and when something is glowing on its back, just run the hell away. Honestly, doesn't seem all that hard. It can bleed. If it can bleed, we can kill it, even if it can kill us, seemingly very easily. Sometimes we're able to hop over the big laser. That's pretty rad. Here's the winning run. Drop in, bring out Yash. It tries to finger us, but whole. Dawn, because I can dodge. Then I fail to dodge quite a bit. We get super early phase transition. It's not all that hard to dodge. I just kind of did a bad job. Shortly after, she births a lot of little kids from her chest, just like health class taught me. Yash dies and she begins Operation The solution is to run around outside and go just a few more hits for the bleed, and that's some high quality matricide. But there is more mattresses to side as we return to the church and get invaded by Jolan.
I know what I have to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it.
Just kidding. We can dance with our wife. Wings dance. Get high, then thrust down from the top. It might get a little messy, but that's half the fun. Then Ymir comes out of nowhere and he wants to be a mother. Ymir, there's still time. Well, not lots of time. Trans rights, of course, but also talk shit, get hit. Elden Ring isn't transphobic because there are trans bosses. Elden Ring is a celebration of how rad bosses can be. We like bosses of this game. Fighting them is a great honor. That said, the fight with Ymir is not very honorable. I just kind of push him in a corner and bleed him to death. Maybe stop making NPC bosses, please.
No, I don't think I will.
Good news, Jolan is alive, and we can give her an item that lets her come with us for the rest of the journey. I'll just kind of yada 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 the dialogue. I'm sure it says, Tarnished, I love you. I'd love to be your pal, since you showed me how good you can fight. Back to Rabbit's Rise, we can grab the Anna Dolly and combine it with Jolan. Dolly and Jolan, music to my ears. They're sisters, not twins, and this is a nice pair of spirit ashes that both have bleed weapons to help divide the aggro. Love a nice pair of sisters, not twins. We're almost to the end of stream, but I think we can do one more boss.
Yeah, I've got time.
It's time for Romina, Saint of the Bud. She's kind of human. Kind of centipede. Oh, and she explodes rot everywhere every time she attacks. Let's check in with the designer of this boss. Mr. Miyazaki, why would you make something like Romina?
I don't like human beings.
I kid. This is a pretty cool boss design. I just wanted to get a human centipede clip in there, and preferably not one with the point of the movie happening in it, because gross. It's not that hard of a fight. It's pretty fun. Easy to dive under most of her halberd swings. I guess I'm a little confused on how the phase transition attack works. Like a couple of times there's a giant explosion that fully messes us up, and sometimes there's just nothing. Sadly, we don't fight her enough times to find out. I thought maybe we could try swapping in the stance pressure tier just to get a break off before Jolan and Dolly are dead. Now, it seems like Jolan won't get a bleed proc, but the Dolly would.
Jolene, 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 Jolene.
You can also summon Dryleaf Dane of the Good Kush, but he's just giving her more health, and this kind of seems fine without him. Romina probably feels closest to a base game Remembrance boss of the Remembrance bosses I've fought in the DLC. Probably put her on the level of like Astel. Nothing nuts, a little tricksy though. Something I'm noticing, none of these bosses are running away like Astel and make you chase them. Every single one of them wants to get in the paint with you. Makes sense that Romina would get in close. She's got all of those legs to run in. Who doesn't love a nice pair of legs? Or 50. Here's the best run we got that day, no guarantee we win. Run in and bleed her, basically instantly. Getting Jolon and Dolly was such a great move. We get a stance break, but do we crit? No, we get nothing. This is one of those times that the phase transition does nothing to us. Lovely. I like her rollout a lot. Unironically, it'll hit like once and then she stops. That's what rollouts should do. Our Spirit Ashes die, but she's super close to going down and we have 10 flasks left? Oh my god. Her attacks also leave you enough time to heal in between, so just wait it out until we get the bleed. Easy win. That's 4 remembrances today. Perhaps even more importantly, we set the tree on fire at the end and teleport to a ancient floating ruins area. If I had a nickel for every time I burned down a tree in Elden Ring and got teleported to a bunch of weird floating ruins, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. Enia Ilum is the final area of the game, which means that we can finally unlock all the blue skidoos and revered spirit ashes. It also means...
Oh, somebody kill me, please!
Just kidding, there's another Maka guide.
I can't believe today was a good day.
Well, at least we're setting realistic goals. What time is it? It's time to get Enia Ilum. Avoid the horny boy and go right up the stairs to the first grace, which is not the first grace mentioned by Maka. That's so IGN of you. It looks like we unlocked that door back to Bella Root that we unlocked after beating the dancing lion. For more on that, over to our correspondent Donkey Kong.
Okay.
Like, you get teleported after you beat the boss that you need to beat to open the thorns, so what's the point of the door? Whatever. There's tree branches, and I know that that thing over there is for sure a Scadu tree. Nope. It's just Spira. But there is a revered Spirit Ash for those nearby who don't love Final Fantasy X. You freaks. Run past some more horny boys and we find the actual second grace that Maka said is the first grace, which also has our first blue skidoo of the area. The next one has a creative path. Lots of running on rooftops and questionable jumps into different areas of Rebel. Basically, this is Swag Jump City.
I should have said a poet.
Now this jump here is a little tricky into the window, but after all those jumps are swagged, you know we nail it. Then get another blue skidoo, further up the rooftops, another blue skidoo, and whoops, ran too far up the rooftops, back down for another Spirit Ash revered. Uh-oh, this horny boy has frostbite. Skip, unlock the little elevator shortcut, then this horny boy has wind. Skip. And that is our final blue skidoo fragment. We are maxed up, fully cheeked out on a Sunday. For our last revered Spirit Ash, we gotta fight another large lad. Not even hard. Just combo them up and oh no, we don't have enough Spirit Ashes to level up. We're missing one piece.
Come aboard and bring along all your hopes and dreams.
So now we just follow the rest of the guide and have to figure out which one we missed at some point. It was this one, and now we have it, so we can cowabunga to warp out faster. It's not like our runes matter anyways. First on my to-do list, Flowey Undertale. You know, if we just killed every other enemy in the game, he'd die in one hit. Oh well. Run in and introduce him to our 2 favorite ladies. I don't think he can bleed though, so maybe Yoshi would have been better. Oh well. Phase 1 down. Crit the head, so it starts phase 2 with less health. Turns out blue skidoos make the damage way less intense, but it's still pretty intense. Honestly, maxing everything out kinda just makes these bosses hit slightly harder than the base game bosses. Downside of NPC spirit summons, they can get grabbed, and then you just have to like watch them die. Bummer. We don't get it on the first try, but surely with all our new skills, we can beat this 2-phase boss. Unless I get grabbed. Hey, it's been like 4 days since I fought the boss, okay? Timing has to come back. Seriously, it's like I'm trying to really flex those blue skidoos, and then I quit out after I get grabbed again. Rule 1 of Elden Ring is even more important in the DLC. Getting grabbed is really bad here, but you wouldn't know that from watching me. This is where I realized there wasn't a Deathblight swamp, at least not that I saw. My theory, this area used to be a Deathblight swamp, but during testing, they figured out it made the boss completely unbearable. It's already one of the worst remembrance fights in the DLC. It doesn't really look cool. It's just a big tree flower. Its attacks aren't fun to dodge, and fighting it 3 times just gets kind of tedious. I'll say it. Big Sunflower, worst remembrance boss in the DLC.
Down here, salt is a way of life.
Oh, well, I don't think he's the hardest boss, though. Not even close. He's just the most similar to, like, Regal Ancestor Spirit. A giant pain that's slow, runs away, and heals. Technically, I guess there's new trees every time, but you get what I'm saying. If I get a health bar to 0, I want the fight to be done. Hopefully the reward is at least cool. It's going to take us a minute to run in and out, get the timing down on this one. I mean, keep in mind, this is our first time beating any of these bosses. I'm not a god gamer yet. Now, I'll admit I'm pretty darn good at this game, but I'm never going to do a no-hit run or try to get my world run speed record back. Basically, I'm the best an average Joe can be. Eventually, I figure out that phase 2 sucks so hard that I should just crank the fire and tank the hit as he comes out. He does Elden Stars the third and gets stuck in the wall here. That's pretty funny. Then honestly, it's just a matter of deciding when to tank a hit to turn on the fire tornado. It carves him up so hard that it's worth it. Phase 3, let's go. Do the same thing again, just tank it to hit him. Not sure how you avoid the big explosion. I think that's one of those moves where you just hope you started far enough away to outrun it, like a ducky dance. It drops a remembrance and Miquella's Great Rune, something we'll definitely remember to use. The real reward is a few shadow sunflowers we can use to craft golden vows later. I don't believe they are a renewable resource. Now, the boss of the Stone Coffin Fissure doesn't mess around. Weirdly, it doesn't have a health bar? Let me introduce you to Caterpie, Destroyer of Worlds. Technically, this boss is hard because it's a gank fight. The first Caterpie is easy enough to rush down. But then, phase 2, you get 2 Caterpies and a few metapods that explode. Huh, maybe I should try and kill them instead of just running past. First one down and then the gank. Just kind of fires pretty relentlessly. Really wish I could bring the horse down here, but this is Miquella's area. Miquella doesn't like horses. Except for the fact that he was Torrent's former owner. Did Miquella force Torrent to be an outside pet? My god, you guys, I think Miquella might have done some things that are bad. Honestly, this is maybe the least fun part of running through the game I've experienced thus far. It makes the liturgical town look fun. It makes the Haligtree look like a walk in the park. It makes the bird run look like the bird fun. After like 6 attempts, we make it through and can finally beat up the Caterpie and are rewarded with nothing, really nothing. The reward is that it's over. Oh boy, grab the grace and keep on keeping on. Now we've got skeletons throwing pots. I just kind of push them bonies off the cliff. Turn the corner and...
That is one big pile of shit.
Then a Leonine Misbegotten. Huh. Skip. Our big brain skipping makes it fall off the cliff, and it drops the multi-layered Rings of Light, a spell I'll also be skipping. I just don't like casting. Final grace, a ghost wants to jump off a cliff. Well...
Hi, I'm Johnny Knoxville. Welcome to Jackass.
I'm gonna be honest, I thought I'd die doing this. I thought we went the wrong way from the grace, and the best way back was to Cowabunga. Boy, don't I look foolish doing the right thing. We've got to fight this knight entering manhood, the pubescent knight. Oh, sorry, putrescent. That makes more sense. Remember Orphan of Kos? Well, it got adopted by a horse. Sometimes the only family you need is a horse, and the placenta that's stuck to your hand. His opening combo with the horse seems frankly unbeatable the first time I'm in the fight, but after some practice, it's fine. I also notice he has frostbite, so I'll try the fire, keeping the Pokemon matchups in mind. Or I just fire tornado right away on every single boss because it's a really good way to do damage. One of those two. Doesn't seem like the girlies can get him to bleed. That's kind of a bummer. Also, it seems like he's a little bit invincible during the phase transition, despite being goo. When the goo rises up around him, that goo does not become part of him. But Streamfield still wanted to try a run with the Bloody Milady. Mixing with My Ladies, that's a recipe for bleeding any red-blooded man. Now I'm very confident he can't bleed, so believe it or not, the fight with the bleed weapon wasn't gonna win. That's back to the Rolana swords. Even zoomed out, that phase transition is really rough to dodge. The magic swords are also kind of struggling, and I think I know why. Probably got really high magic resistance. Let's try those lightning axes we got, even if I don't love the R1s. It's a power stanced axe moveset, and that's just gonna put 2 attacks on 1 input. It feels kind of clumsy and makes it harder to work out the timing, but that's fine. We're mostly gonna be spamming the Ash of War. The damage does seem better, probably helps that the whole fight is on water, but I really just can't get over the moveset. I don't like it. I was almost going to use spells, but then I remembered we have remembrances, and from the sunflower, we can grab a big sunflower colossal hammer. Rot Remembrance gets us the Rot Halberd. I'll save that for later, but for now, I am loving this flower. The Ash of War is just a big bonk. Let's see if the knight is weak to holy. 2,000 damage in 1 hit.
You were correct. It's fact.
Not to mention, a colossal weapon like this, we might even get to see some stance breaks. Maybe. Eventually.
Not this time.
Yeah, that phase transition is just so big and so long, and after we get frostbitten, the placenta benda breaks our body in twain. Oh well, it's pretty fun jumping off the high dive. Oh hey, since this guy is weak to holy, let's give Andreas a chance. He still wants to show everyone what that tongue do. I don't know if he's the best Spirit Ash in combat, but he is 100% the best Spirit Ash in the bedroom. I was kind of dunking on him the whole fight, but those giant holy AoEs make up for his unorthodox fighting style. Maybe it's true what they say. Sometimes you gotta think inside the box. Like with your tongue inside. I shouldn't finish that joke. There's a really dressed up lady back here. Very hard boss fight. Every move she does instantly kills us. Over and over and over again. Why keep going back? Well, it kind of seemed like I should keep doing that until something changes. Or maybe I just crave that deep, dark, eternal sleep. Hey, Nectar? I hardly know her. Turns out, it's Trina. Miquella had to abandon the woman he would become in this pit to become a god. She thinks being a god would be a prison for Miquella, and Trina wants the death penalty for him instead. Now, you might be asking, how is she alive while Miquella is still alive? Well, basically, Miquella's heart was separated from his body, which is Trina, leaving her behind to be his nobody. Now he's going to bring 13 vessels of darkness to fight 7 beings of light to form the Kai Blade, which is the Greek letter X, pronounced Kai by the way, in order to open true Kingdom Hearts. Hey, we doing too many zoom in bits this video? I just kind of like them, and I feel like only using the full house sacks is holding them back. Anyway, next boss is someone who's getting lost in the sauce. He's just a little guy. Easiest boss fight ever. This is basically just like the final boss of Demon's Holes. All he does is flop around. Wait, phase 2 cutscene?
Oh, you could have just kind of turned a little bit. Seems like this is none my business. It's kind of stuck. Oh! Ew!
It's Midra, and it's about darn time. I realized it was weird that there was not a single Frenzy boss in the base game, considering Frenzy is one of the endings. Like, to get to the Frenzy fingers, you fight a Moog illusion. Weird. And this guy makes up for it. Super cool boss, uses Frenzy the way the player does, either with giant lasers that blast across the map, or an extendo stick to poke people. We didn't win the first try, and then, oh, we have to fight the first phase every time?
No, don't like that.
I'm fine with a boss that pushes my shit in. I just don't want to do chores every time. He has a grab though, if you wanted to see that. Bringing in the ladies this time, it becomes abundantly clear that he bleeds pretty fast, but also we die pretty fast. Now here's something you're not going to see any other creator do. Die to phase 1 Midra. Yeah, I was trying to hit him with the slow Ash of War because I thought it'd be funny, and he can kill you if you don't hit him. Back at it again, it seems like it's not really working to use the big flower, so let's swap to Milady. Do the chores and then die super fast again. Even with maxed out blue skidoos, dude is still 3-shotting us and has those fun Morgott style delayed hitboxes that take a few attempts to figure out the timing of. Also, the big sun attack he does before powering up for phase 3, that's a 1-shot if we don't dodge it. Technically a 2-shot, but the first hit stuns you into the second. I consider that a 1-shot. All 3 of us put our bleed procs together and basically just try to burst him down before he can kill me. The best defense is a good offense, you know? Some defense probably wouldn't hurt though. I'm sure there's a fire great shield talisman like the spell one we found before Rolana. Yeah, I just looked it up. It's in Fort Reprimand? Weird. There's not a fire boss there. I would have guessed it's either in the Shadow Keep or here. Oh well. I keep getting closer and closer, eventually figuring out you can bleed him in the phase transition and then he just doesn't power up. Usually that just means the bosses still get the upgrade, like the Godskins or Horalu going into the Super Stomp phase. You know what really stinks though? I like this fight. If it wasn't for the chore of beating up a harmless old man, Midra would be one of my favorite boss fights in the DLC. But that extra chore is so annoying every time. Oh, also, just realized this probably won't be as fun on future playthroughs because I am never gonna have 60 mind again, which is what gives you madness resistance. Anyway, about 30 minutes in, we figure it out. Bring in the gals, then run in and trade a little. Keeping pressure up is important, but more crucial is just stacking bleed as much as we can. 2 helpers stacking it to stack also helps. I got grabbed, though the grab is more of an impaling. Damn, these bosses sure do love impaling in the DLC. And then I died. Whoops, I guess I started logging the wrong one. Got you, pranked. This is the one. Beat up the old man in pain, then get back in there and die again. Wait, I did beat this guy, right? Am I going crazy? This next one isn't it either. Seriously, I'm writing the script. I just saw that we won on the log, tried to back it up, it was at this time code, and now it's just more losses? Is Midra breaking the game to make me go mad?
You are losing your marbles.
Okay, This is the one. For some reason, Midra can't hit Jolan this time. Anna gets rocked. I get rocked, but nobody's hitting Jolan. And because of that, he just doesn't go to phase 2. Just kind of hangs out with the normal moves until like the very end. We do get hit with his laser eyes till we go mad, but look at our health. We don't take damage. Now his aggro is super trained on us, and I'm just waiting on Jolan to get in there and get one more hit. Come on. Jolan! 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 I'm begging of you, please just hit the boss. Jolan, 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 I'm begging of you, please attack the boss. Finally, she did it. Hard carried by my wife again. Next remembrance boss is up the jagged mid. No, this area is cool. There's boulders. That's a nice boulder. I'm ignoring all of these dragons because I just want to fight the boss. Except apparently, if we want to summon Egon for the boss, we have to choose a side in the Drake beef. I mean, is that even a question? Kendrick made T-Pab. Normally when fighting dragons, I like to go for the head, but Kendrick is spitting pure fire on every bar, so it's safer to hide behind the Drake's toes. Drake is a little bit of a souped up standard dragon. His wing attack is a combo, and then he always jumps and does fire breath after it. The spectacle of the fight kind of gets lost when you're just seeing nothing but dragon taint and thigh. I'm basically just tapping toes and taints here. If only I had some sort of ranged option, like, oh, I don't know, a harpoon. We get the win, and Egon and his voice actor earn their damn paycheck. Looks like it's Richard Lintern. Great work, Richard. This is where I realized something. Is Bale a remembrance boss? Well, that just means this boss fight is technically not a part of our normal All Remembrances category. An arbitrary category that became the standard because that's what creators decided to do when the game first came out. I wasn't a creator when the game first came out, so I didn't really get to weigh in on that. I often imagine what kind of a world we would have if people decided to do all Great Runes as the category instead of All Remembrances. Like we'd get to skip Astel and Fortisax.
Welcome to heaven, motherfuckers.
Basically, this boss fight better be pretty rad if it wants me to say that it deserves to be in the quote-unquote standard runs. Strong start, dude drops down, and it's pretty cool. No horse for this fight. Jotting that down. Looks like he's missing a foot. What the hell? I thought he was supposed to be 401 feet long. And his leg is gone too. We died summoning Egon. Oh well. Next attempt, we start closer to the door. Should be easier to summon. Come on in, buddy. And alright, now remember, this is an NPC for an optional quest line, not even close to a main character. Just have fun with your voiceover take. No need to go too hard.
Warrior and die.
As if I needed more incentive to survive, we need to live long enough to hear every single bar. Some men don't make sounds during sex, but Egon's out here waking the goddamn neighborhood. Hey, not to be outshined, or at least not totally outshined, Bale's a pretty great dragon fight. His fire only hits you once. It doesn't stun lock you into itself. I love it. The grab's a little too fast in my opinion, but maybe I just gotta practice it. We get plenty of practice because the dude's also pretty tough. I swapped back to the giant sunflower. The raw damage and stance pressure seem more valuable than bleed could be. Once we get a stance break, we can use that full weapon art. It's pretty good at putting out the damage. Then phase 2 is a little different. Lots of big AoEs, but from what I saw, nothing you can't just roll through on medium. He's big, he's hard, he's got a lot of health, but he doesn't run away, he doesn't stun lock you. This is Placidia Sucks without the sucks. And a grab that kind of sucks, but I'll take it for every other great thing about this fight. Jagged Peak. Indeed. If I don't like anything about this fight, it's summoning Egon.
How dare you?
Specifically the action of summoning him. Like summoning Jolan for Mesmer, the summon sign is inside the arena, which makes you move your cursor over to yes for the summon, which is annoying. Everything else though is pretty sick. I like that he has a get off me button where he breath attacks his crotch, but you can back away pretty easily as long as you're not being too greedy. The AoEs are dodgeable, but not like super easy to dodge. It's a fun challenge against a larger than life enemy. The grab is too fast. Overall, this is just a fantastic fight. Egon, the arena, the boss design, the phase transition, the damage, the health. Whew. I really like it. Eventually we mix it up and try maxing out the Rod Halberd. Rod is really good and percentile damage is great against bosses who have a lot of health. It also can do pierce damage. Dragons are generally pretty weak against that shit, but this thing doesn't seem to be putting the Rod on all that fast. Or Bale has just been drinking his orange juice and has plenty of vitamin C. Based on something that comes later, I think this is just kind of bad at putting rot on, or Milady is really good at putting bleed on. New Game Plus also drastically raises resistances, and yes, oh my god, New Game Plus cycles affect the TLC. So since this status ain't working, it's time to hit him with the allergies. Sunflora, I choose you. Stance pressure was always my favorite status anyway. I'm very okay with the boss taking a lot of attempts. It's just such a cool place to hang out. Eventually though, all good things must end. Sorry to Egon, I'm sure you love the hunt more than life itself. We summon him, run in, and get hit by the breath. Dodge the grab by getting tackled instead. This time I'm going for the head instead of the legs. I think it's a better option. Obviously more damage, but it also lets you avoid that crotch breath better. Stance break, I don't go for the crit. Instead, slamming the weapon art down on that extra sensitive bad dragon head. You know what, actually? This isn't a bad dragon. This is the rare good dragon. Phase 2 starts and we're so close to the wall that the fireballs look like they're shooting out of the wall at us. He does that Plassy nuke, but it's fair to dodge and we dodge it. Fairly. Finally figured out that dodging the grab just means you roll early, which makes sense. If I think it comes out faster than I thought, dodge before I think I should. Let's try the crit out. It's okay. I should have just gone for the weapon art. It's funnier. He's really close, but we have to make sure that we live. Egon is proving why he's the captain of the varsity hating squad. Then we get a few more hits in on the stump for the win. Sorry to ruin the hunt, Captain Ahab. Really, this guy's more like Captain A-Dab, because he thinks all dragons are bastards. Not assigned dragon at birth. He's dead, drops his great bow armor and a bell bearing. R.I.P. Egon, but never forgotten. Oh, also worth noting, Bale counts as a remembrance boss. Doesn't have a remembrance? Doesn't matter. If I have to go up and down the goddamn Carrion Study Hall every goddamn time I play the goddamn game, I'm sure as hell hiking up this mountain to do the coolest shit ever. Only one last place to go, up to the tippy top of Enia Ilum. But Lita is gatekeeping the Miquella fandom. Oh, you're a Miquella fan? Name every great rune. Also, true Miquella fans are okay with him doing a corpse puppet show marriage with his half-brother. It's like Weekend at Bernie's, plus Game of Thrones, with a little dash of the Muppets.
I would like to see it.
We get to fight Miquella's champions, and oh my god, is this another NPC boss rush? Was Fia's champ so great we had to do it again? First up is Lydia, my best pal, who died with me so many times against the Lion Dancer. She's got double Lion's Claw for double the fun. Horn Scent is salty we didn't summon him for Mesmer, and hey, fair, Mesmer kinda did do a little impaling on all of his people. I actually don't know what Jolan's beef with Mesmer is. So yeah, Horn Scent's probably the better narrative pick for that fight. I didn't learn anything about Good Kush Greg's lore, but he does karate against me, and then Lita comes in. Sure, Ansbach is helping us out, but really, is he? Does he do any damage? We just need to turn the gank back in our favor by remembering to summon the girlies.
Let's go, girls.
Now it's 4-on-4. Jolan and Anna are the point guards, short, but they get in the paint. Obviously, we're the center, the jar makes us look so tall, and Ansbach is the forward, with reach from his Reaper. Man-on-man defense isn't working. It's more of a zone situation. Who am I kidding? It's a clusterfuck. We're wings dancing around and focusing on initiative fixing. For some reason, Jolan and Anna's health bars are nothing compared to the NPC versions of them, so they are toast. But Ansbach and I clear out no problem and are left with a 2-on-2, Lita and Good Kush Greg. He knows karate, and I guess that's our problem. Didn't find any karate weapons. They seem to be pretty oppressive in a PvP situation. Eventually we roll that bud and can help out Ansbach finish off Lita. I'd say that this is my least favorite boss fight in the DLC, but there weren't any boss health bars, so it's not even a boss fight. Loot everyone. Hey, we have a karate weapon. Just in time to not use it. Freya's greatsword has spinning slash, something she doesn't even use. Honestly, just kind of wish this section was scrapped. Pretty annoying. I know who's in the final boss room. Mikkel calls him the champion of the festival, and I remember things a little bit differently. I was the champion of the festival. Radon dives in, and I'm gonna use this halberd to hit him with that old Melania special. Only one problem. Radon has hands. Leonard isn't here. Why is he faster without a horse? I guess it makes sense when you realize he was using gravity to help the horse move. Now he's using it to help himself move. Ansbach is Ans back to help us out again and reveals that Miquella put his brother's whole into his other brother's body. That's because Radon was seen as the most kind man by Miquella and Moog was seen as the most evil. Basically, Radon is a being of pure light and Moog is a being of pure darkness. When combined, they form the X-Blade, X being the Greek symbol for Kai, and open the door to true Kingdom Hearts, the Heart of Worlds. We actually get to phase 2 pretty fast, and I'm sorry, is Mikola not walking out of the goddamn door to light? Also, the jar helmet kind of messes up the cutscene in a very funny way. I do think that there's some inspiration from Kingdom Hearts. Maybe it's a Boss Baby viewer seeing his second movie saying, boy, getting a lot of Boss Baby vibes from this. But like Dark Souls 2 had a Keyblade, so I don't know. It seems like maybe there's like a little Kingdom Hearts inspiration here. Now we get taken to Pound Town by one brother who's a goddamn beast carrying giant swords, and another brother who's a twink cleric riding piggyback.
Hey, I've seen this one. This is a classic.
Wait, Leonard can't be here because in phase 2, Radahn is the horse. It all makes sense now. We die again, head back in, and dude, where's my rot? Is Radahn no longer down with the sickness? Or is this just an NG+7 thing? It's just not sticking on. So I guess we gotta dump it. Does seem like Ansbach and the girlies are bleeding him relatively fast when they aren't getting their shit rocked into next week. Also, Radahn has the Godfrey stomp, which is really cool, because he's a huge Godfrey fanboy. So back to Milady. And the bleed sure does be bleeding. There's only one health bar this fight, so we just need a couple healthy bleeds off to get the win, while surviving everything. Like, when I say everything, I mean everything. Dude is Radahn, Mohg, and Godfrey put together, and that's just in phase 1. In phase 2, he has laser spam from the Elden Beast. Not that we're getting into phase 2, like, ever. Seriously, we've had other bosses be called the Melania of the DLC, and this dude is giving her a run for her money. Although, I don't know. I still think with practice, this seems a lot more manageable than a ducky dance. Except the meteors. I don't know how to dodge the meteors. And they're multi-hit, which is kind of an issue for the Ritual Shield Talisman. So many times we literally just walk in and get washed instantly. I guess we gotta try something else. Let's go find something else to try. Back at the Graveside Path, we head up to Prospect Town and start bashing up the Misbegotten. Feels mean. Neither of these two on the lower level drop what we need, so let's head around to the side. And no luck from these 4 either. Finding my way up to the top requires a bit of a tricky jump, but we land it first try and find a bunch of demi-humans. Let's go, girls. With our powers combined, we get the Blood Fiend Arm, a colossal weapon that has twice as much bleed as Milady. More importantly though, more than twice as much stance pressure. Since we're not getting many hits off against Radahn anyway, we might as well be getting bigger hits off, and maybe get him down on a knee for a second for the squad to stack some bleed procs. Works fine in theory, but in practice, it's another beast. Because Radahn is just a beast. Phase 2, we get grabbed and it doesn't do damage. Weird. Apparently, if you get grabbed twice though, it's an insta-kill. Hey Donkey Kong, how do you feel about a grab that takes 2 grabs to kill you in this DLC?
Okay.
Yeah, like Bale's grab one-shots us. If anything, the Mikola grab is nice. Apparently that's the only thing Mikola's Great Rune does, and I'm sorry, it's just pathetic. There's only one new Great Rune too? Nothing for Mesmer? I guess that makes sense since Marika is kind of pretending he doesn't exist, probably wasn't asking Kale to deliver him Christmas presents. But of course, with the window winding down, you know, this one has gotta be the run. You check the time code. This is it. Here's our final run against Radahn. Summon right in his face and try our best to dodge the meteors. It doesn't work. He does the spin attack that basically just destroys half of our girl's HP. Lovely. But we come together for a first bleed proc before distracting him and getting him all turned around. Avoid the big gravity suck, but his Lion's Claw finishes off the girls. Oh, also love that he has Lion's Claw now. Then we take a few more hits and die. Wait, what? Well, unfortunately, we ran out of time.
Can't read mine, no he can't read my poker face.
Idea number 1, get a big shield, like that big shield we got from the Black Knight. Then pair that with the sword lance from Commander Gaius, because it's a heavy thrusting weapon and we can hold the shield up and still poke out. Should work great. I've been told this is easy mode for Radahn. Haven't reviewed that on NG+7, but it's no different, and actually I'm just a baby. This is working better. At least for phase 1, almost all of the swings do just physical damage, but the meteors are still bad. In fact, they're worse with the shield. I don't know why, but for some reason, if you block the meteors with a shield, instead of just standing still and letting them dome you, it burns all of your stamina and does 75% of your 60 vigor health bar from foe with the Ritual Shield Talisman. But if I literally just stand still, it does like 30% of the health.
By all accounts, it doesn't make sense.
Here's where the shield falls apart really though. Phase 2. You see in phase 2, it's not just physical attacks. Every physical attack is followed by a bunch of pillars of light. Wait a second. Power stancing? Pillars of light after every attack? Banger, mostly choral soundtrack? This is Roxas Kingdom Hearts. The Kingdom Hearts 2 fans are winning again. At least phase 1 is free. Start on regular new game. Or not. Yeah, so the shield, even being massively cheeked up and fully upgraded, isn't enough to handle these combos. Our guard gets broken anyway. Maybe I'll find a solution to that later, but it's kind of insufferable for now. I'm even trying to feather it by putting the shield down for faster stamina recovery between the hits of the combo. It's just too much. So we swap it up, go to heavy load, and put on the vertical dick suck. I pronounce things wrong intentionally, because if I try, I will always do it wrong. So I'm happy that you all know how to pronounce Old English words better than me. But if we get heavy, that's already better damage resistance, and this turns that up even higher. So we should be able to tank some hits. We are at max blue skidoo level here. It's gonna be all we need. Most crucially, it helps our holy damage resistance, since that's always chipping through the shield in phase 2. But it turns out he has myriad on a bunch of his attacks, creating a bunch of clones everywhere that attack every single person in this fight and smash you before he even attacks you. Then he hits you after that with After Effect light pillar AoEs.
I think it's too much.
But boy howdy, Ansbach's dialogue is going to be burned into my brain like the pause menu screen on an old-fashioned flat screen TV. General Radahn, it's good to see you after all this time, but those remains do not belong to you. Lord Moog will have his dignity.
Tell me about it.
General Radahn, it's good to see you after all this time, but those remains do not belong to you. Lord Moog will have his dignity.
You can say that again.
General Radahn, it's good to see you after all this time, but those remains do not belong to you. Lord Moog will have his dignity. So the shield wasn't working. Our heart finally got stolen once. Maybe I'll just get really desperate and consider that getting the Mikola ending. Like, what do you mean? We won. We beat the game. We just decided to side with Mikola. He made great points and made those points go through my skull for hours on end. We're now 2 hours into Radahn. We've made virtually no progress. If I had just sat my ass on the couch and watched Frasier, we would be just as close to winning as we currently are. How's that for some tossed salads and scrambled eggs?
Ooh, baby, I like it raw. Yeah, baby, I like it raw.
After 2 hours, I realized that I hadn't wasted my time. I was just learning the moveset, getting the download, if you will. Maybe we don't need to let all of our stamina get gobbled by his attacks, and we can just figure out the dodge timing. Two-handing the sword lance means better stance pressure, and maybe even getting a stance break.
You sure about that?
It'll take a little more practice, but this is seeming like a much better strategy. Either that, or I'm just much more comfortable with the fight. We're also holding off on summoning the girlies till phase 2 at this point. Sure, they will be instantly erased from existence and space-time by lasers, but maybe they'll get a few more bleed procs before they are.
You sure about that?
After spending a little more time in phase 2, I think there are some things about this fight that might be a little unfair. Why does he get to become invincible during his hyperlight clone attacks? I understand why he's invincible during the grab. Well, I mean, like, no, I don't, but I understand why they made him invincible for gameplay reasons. The grab is really slow. If it left him vulnerable, our strategy would just be sending out one of our NPCs as bait so that the rest of us could combo the hell out of him while he's giving them his special hug. But for an in-universe fight reason, why does he get immune to damage while he's hugging someone? Anyway, I've made my peace with the grabs giving iframes. That's not what I'm complaining about here. Him hitting the hyperlight button to attack you with combos that make more AoEs that stun lock you into further combos, and you can't even punish it if your spacing was immaculate enough to get a hit off, that sucks. Oh, also, when he makes the nuke, you can hit him, but even if you get a bleed, he doesn't flinch out of it. That's one of the very few things that shuts off the Ducky Dance hyper armor, and it doesn't work on Radahn.
Whole fucking world's against us, dude, I swear to God.
We're hitting phase 2 more consistently, but we're also burning through rune arcs. Rune arcs we've collected over 8 playthroughs. Remember, this isn't even part 3. This is actually part 4 because it's built on the bones of the 1320 bosses run. I thought we'd need them for NG+7 Millennia, but no, it's all for Radahn. Let's mix it up again.
I'm gonna kick your ass from here to right over there.
Okay, so when did we level up the karate attack? Off screen. My girlfriend wanted to play some co-op together, and this was the only save file I had any blue skidoos on, because remember, this is still the only DLC I have experienced. Since I wanted to try karate, I maxed it out, and it was super fun fighting bosses with her. Legit, if you're not supposed to summon friends to fight the boss or whatever, why is that so fun? We thrashed the Lion Guardian in a few attempts, then thoroughly dunked on Rolana after like 20 minutes of trying. Even just running through the legacy dungeons was rad. I've said that I hate invasions in the past, us, but I'll be honest, getting invaded was kind of fun. Every time we beat those phantoms, we gave them the old Boston tea experience. We have no footage of this because I was just playing the game and enjoying it for the first time in 2 years. God, this game is fun. Anyway, Ansbach is not supporting my karate dreams, but that's kind of on me because I was rolling backwards and not into the attacks of Radahn. Radahn isn't staying in one place, and therefore Ansbach is just trying to catch up.
I wasted on cross-country. We dwarves are natural sprinters.
But here's the idea with karate. Attacks faster, stack bleed faster. Pretty simple strat, actually. We also have the foot fetish talisman for more kicking power and the combo talisman to boost our damage and maybe do a little more flat damage. This wasn't working though. The reach was bad, the whiffs were bad. Sword lance is just better, so we go back to old reliable. That has never been reliable because it's never won. I guess that's actually very reliable. It just loses reliably. This might seem very negative, but like, I don't know, it still isn't. I'm loving this fight. I'm just a little burnt out making the content because of the deadline stress. I'd happily spend weeks locked against Radahn if it was for fun. Hell, that's what I did against Melania my first time playing the game. And then I was like, I'm never gonna fight her again. Now I watch her pretty regularly. The final boss of the DLC of the super hard game should be super hard. Don't you want this to be the hardest boss you've ever fought? Is that not what you paid $40 for? Certainly hope you didn't pay $40 for new spells. Let's try the finger spells we got from Ymir. With the finger staff, Entity Faith Intelligence Scaling Staff from the Finger Mother, we should be getting a massive boost to massive sorcery scaling. We do technically need to like live long enough to get away from Radahn and cast them, which is also a struggle. But would you believe that once we get Ansbach to take the aggro, these spells actually rip through Radahn like tissue paper? Well, you shouldn't. After using a full 60 mind bar of MP, what do we got to show for it?
All that for a drop of blood.
Did I really expect spells to save me? No. But I was desperate, okay? So let's try some other ones. Heal from Jafar. Maybe the solution is getting Ansbach in there with the girlies and just sending in healing from Jafar. Corey, go ahead and put the Jafar villain song in. Wait, Jafar doesn't have a villain song? He is such a drama queen and no bop? Ursula, Scar, Gaston, goddamn Frollo gets to have slurs in his villain song, but Jafar doesn't have any bars about catching no street rats? And no, the one from Return of Jafar does not count. I mean, come on. The healing spell isn't for us, or at least not for us to cast. We'll put it on the Mimic tier. But Phil, what happened to using all these stuff from the DLC? The Mimic tier isn't from the DLC. Yes, but it's only carrying things from the DLC, which means we're using armor, spells, and weapons from the DLC, and technically using more DLC stuff than we would have if we used a different summon. But also, I'm coping. It was also cope to assume that these spells would do anything. Minor Erdtree does not have a lot of healing over time, and Heal from Jafar is rough to aim. Maybe we take away everything from the Mimic so it can only hit the heal button. So now you can only do one thing. You can heal me. You're gonna punch him.
Are you dumb?
Spells won't save us. Eventually we try another spell. It's Mantle of Thorns because I thought it added bleed to your rolls, and no. It's just flat damage, like 17 damage per roll. So it's basically useless. I know someone will make a video where they roll stuff to death and that's cool, but I don't have the patience for that. It would just be like throwing hours away. Huh, throwing.
Oh, that's why they call it that.
We're running low on money, so if we want to use the Smith script Kirkwi, I need to participate in capitalism. These are backhand blades. If you power stance them, you get 2. But that's not important. With your strong attack, you hit the yeet. I thought you had to fully charge them at first, and you can if you want more damage, but no, you just need to tap it. Now I have some serious reach, and can do a better job messing with Radahn's aggro, drawing him further away from my pals and staying further away from his attacks. The range on these just got buffed in a patch, and by the way, they also patched out the perfume buff that was the only reason you dorks said perfume was good. Miyazaki knew I was right, and patched them because you are fools. Anyway, they go further than they did when the DLC launched, still not that far, but don't think of them as a ranged weapon, think of them as a really long reach weapon. Technically, it's a ranged option, but I just think of it as super reach. Also, since each toss throws out 2 rings, the bleed buildup is wicked fast. It also scales innately with strength, dex, int, and faith, so adding bleeding makes it scale with every stat and puts out some solid damage due to our flat 60 in everything build. But more importantly, I'm like Axel from Kingdom Hearts.
Got it memorized.
mesmerized.
Except we can't put fire on them, so we can't get it mesmerized. This ends up being the best strategy we have all day, or I just practiced the same boss fight for like 4 hours and was figuring out how the timing worked a little better. Not a lot better. Obviously phase 2 is just oppressive. Even phase 1 is probably harder than every base game boss except Melania, which, like, damn, think of everything Melania has and then realize Radahn is harder anyway. He doesn't heal on a hit. He doesn't really build up status effects. I guess he has one attack that technically does bleed, but come on, that's not gonna make you bleed. Phase 2 feels like Melania's Attack of the Clones if all of the clones were constantly doing the waterfowl dance. Really, one of the worst parts of phase 2 is just never feeling like you can attack. When one combo finishes, you have half a second, maybe, to get a quick attack off, but wait, because there's an AoE explosion, so you have a quarter of a second to get an attack off. With NG+7 damage, that's just really hard to deal with. From what I've heard, even in regular new game, it is really hard to get in on that. Time to break more rules. We're gonna go back to Mount Gelmir and fight Anastia to grab the Golden Vow spell. You know, there are Golden Vow consumables, so this is basically just fixing it so we don't have to farm for them. So we're still just using stuff from the DLC, or I'm coping again. I don't really care at this point. Even with Golden Vow, we still can't get it done. We do better for sure, but it's just not enough. It's been 5 hours in the first stream, and I have nothing to show for it. Tomorrow we'll try something else. So at this point, I looked up what other people were doing to beat Radahn, hoping to find out what the solution was that would work for them, that would work for me in NG+7. And 99% of them were using Rolling Sparks, which just got patched out. But I did see one person with a thick-ass fire golem named Telu. So I guess, let's grab Telu, swiftly. In Telu's Shattered Forge, I find a big pipe from the trailer. Wow, Google Telu's big pipe on your work computer to find out more. You run to the other end, crank that lever, then jump off. Oops, quit out. The pipe has risen up. Google Telu's big pipe rising on your work computer. Sick platforming in a sick dungeon that gets us a dummy thick Spirit Ash Telu. This dude apparently has so much health, you can summon him for the start of phase 1 Radahn, and he'll be swinging at the end of phase 2. Maybe the damage is a little higher in NG+7, but I think it's just kind of like the Crystallian Spirit Ash. If you're not dealing strike damage, it's basically all going to be chip. Adding in our revered Spirit Ash and the fact that he is so expensive at over 130 focused summon, I don't think it's crazy to imagine he'll actually be able to effectively tank.
Come on now, you expect me to believe that?
One brief participation in capitalism later, he's maxed out, we're ready to go. Telu, I choose you! Oh no. Oh no, he's dying. He's dying so fast. Like maybe he lasts a little longer than the girlies, but not enough to justify losing 2 fellow bleed enjoyers. Remember though everyone, NG7 does not affect damage, and if you say that it does, you're bad. That's a joke. It's not true. I am lying right now. NG7 adds a lot more damage. Literally nothing is working. So I've decided to try and give up and just try every other boss first. Before looking up guides, because some guides have been a little... Let's go for the bosses I remember from the overworld. First, a ghost flame dragon, by where we got our first weapon, the Great Katana. Like I theorized, it is weak to holy, so Sunflower just kinda bonks it. Its moveset is jankier than a normal dragon's, but less janky than an ancient dragon's. I don't know why they felt the need to make a mediocre dragon, but hey, all good, pretty easy all things considered. Next boss is another ghost flame dragon, but this one has a bunch of soldiers fighting with us, until they decide to just fight us instead.
Hey Einstein, I'm on your side!
A little more annoying, but still not all that bad. Now we've had 2 ghost flame dragons, but what if we had a third? This one is in the Cerulean Coast, and really, just for environmental reasons, it's probably my favorite, or it would be if it didn't summon skeletons. I guess this one's also a Tibia Mariner? Okay, the skeletons aren't even a problem, until I need to warp out. Each of those drops an ancient dragon somber stone. I thought they'd just drop dragon hearts, so I guess it's a little better than I expected, but not much. Next up is Deathrite Bird, but oh god, why? We're bonking it with our flower until we realize we've got the power of fast food.
Other guys will just feed your lines, but I'll take you to Mickey D's.
The Golden Arches spell is pretty good for deathbirds, hitting their heads and whatnot. Range is a little shorter than I'd like, but if you're just looking for a quick spell you can use to hit deathbirds in the head with holy damage, consider McDonald's. A bunch of the bosses are down by Templetown ruins. Maybe I should get a grace there or something, but not this time. We have to scoot down some graves. Platforming is my favorite thing to do. That's why I play the series that didn't have a dedicated jump button until there were 7 games. Now, what does that Rivermouth cave do? It goes down into a pit of bloody demi-humans. Oh snap, this has to be a Deacons of the Deep situation, right? Well, what if I were to simply bait them all one at a time with my Smith script, Kirkwi? I'm great at baiting because I know so many of you have said, it's not pronounced Kirkwi. Yeah. You think? Hey buddy, come up here. I want to show you something cool. I know you're going to like Blood Church or whatever, but just come up in this little hill, nothing bad will happen. Part of me honestly wants to come back and do this just by cowabungaing in, but today we're stealthing, something I've always loved in every video game. I'd never say stealth was boring because apparently that makes me a morally objectionable person. People can just disagree with y'all about stuff. This isn't a human right, it's just an opinion on stealth in a video game. The Blood Friend Chef has a lot of damage, and we get bashed up a little bit, but then we come back and don't get bashed up. Second try is the first try, if you don't count the first try. I love all these new bosses in the DLC. Blood Friend Chef, Ghost Flame Dragon, these are great designs. Who's next? A Tree Sentinel.
Hey, I've seen this one. This is a classic.
Well, we'll just bleed it down, then go find a surely unique boss, a second Tree Sentinel.
Hey, I've seen this one. This is a classic.
For some reason, this isn't a duo boss though. They're counted separately, and they both just drop a Blessing of Marika, which I would never use in any game because it's a consumable healing item. Sure, I might think Radahn is the final boss, but what happens when Godwyn shows up after and I don't have my extra potion? I don't want Godwyn to catch me with my pants around my ankles, you know?
Are you sure about that?
Okay, well, 2 reused bosses is fine. I get it. Maybe they have like a lore connection to the area. The next boss will be new. It's a Falling Star Beast.
Hey, I've seen this one. This is a classic.
I'm bringing out Telu because he can't bleed or be bled. Not that the Falling Star Beasts ever actually inflict bleed with their tails, but the girlies would just chip away. I mean, so does Telu. It's a Falling Star Beast. I think this one might have slightly new charge moves, but it's not that different for me to really register the difference. It drops a gravity spell I have no intention of ever using. I'm sure it will one-shot Miquella and Radahn if you use the dumpster pumpster tier and wobble on the dooply booply. But I don't have time for that. I just wanted the tail as a colossal weapon with massive whip-like reach, like it's some sort of great whip. Is that so much to ask for? Time for hell. Ancient dragons are not new bosses, and Sen sucks. There are so many problems with this boss, but let's just start with the basic ancient dragon problem. You can't lock on to the toes. That's not a ha-ha, Phil is horny for bad dragon toes joke. Personally, I've never understood a foot fetish, but no judgments. They're just the only part of the dragon you can consistently hit without spells. But hey, we have spells. Glintstone nails, and if they're half as good as Magic Glint Blade, we can just lock onto the head and fire away. They suck. They suck really, really bad. I don't know why they do. I don't know why they deal such terrible amounts of damage. Obviously, it's because we don't have the dumpster pumpster tier and we're not wobbling on the doop belly and boopaleepy-dee-bee-dee. But yeah, we have the magic boosting physic tier on. We have the finger staff in our offhand to boost it. And we're using a casting focus that has 312 casting. So like, it should be okay. It kinda does a pest threads thing, but not really though. This shit just sucks. Other ancient dragon thing. They're not sitting still because their entire body is a wiggle worm hitbox slapping around and making everything horrible. Now, let's get into what makes this one specifically worse. It has a health bar, a big one, like a really, really big one. And why? Fortisax and Lanciax are at least glass cannons, but this is just a cannon with cannons attached to it that shoot cannons that explode into more cannons when they hit. Oh, other new problem, it's on the water. It's a lightning dragon on the water. Absolute sicko shit. But then, and here's the really funny part, even on the ground that isn't water, the lightning AoEs are just spreading out like they're on the water. I thought I was being a silly salty Sam, but after floundering to this shit for like 30 minutes, I paid attention to it and no, it's just all water AoEs every time, which means you have to dodge each hit, each initial lightning shockwave that follows each hit, followed by each expansion expansion shockwave hitbox from the water. And with this damage, you die. You just die. This is the worst boss in the DLC. This boss is here so that if you get walled off to Radahn like I currently am, you'll go back to it and be like, well, at least this is fun. This is here to specifically not be fun. Think about it. We're on Jagged Peak. Bale is 20 yards away. An amazing dragon boss that's tough, but fair. They know how to make awesome dragon bosses. This shit is just dropped in here, given super hitboxes and more health for no reason other than to make you have a bad time, but not even the fun FromSoft bad time. This shit is gonna rank lower than a Deathrite bird.
Wow. You suck.
Eventually we get it done just by throwing the Smith script Kirkwi at its head. Neat. Apparently Good Kush Gregory was supposed to be a boss, but I already killed him in the Lita fight, so that one's free. Let's hit up the Lamenter's Jail. It's called that because you will lament going through this area. A ghost says, no lamentation please, but they can't stop you from grabbing a prattling pate and lamentating. We lamentate, it does nothing. This is a very Ocarina of Time-esque dungeon, gotta find small keys to unlock doors, but unlike Ocarina of Time, it asks the very important question, what if this was bad? Yeah, I don't like catacombs, and the DLC has some catacombs, and I continue to dislike them. I think I only liked the first few because I was still in like, let's have fun exploring mode. I was desperate to find a weapon, I wanted to look in every nook and cranny. Now, couldn't care less for your nooks and crannies. Papa is fully in make content mode because everyone keeps asking Papa how the content's gonna change with the DLC. Papa doesn't know, but Papa does know that it's gonna mean more work for Papa every week, which means Papa's foolish ambition to get ahead of schedule and take time off is gonna be put to rest. Papa is sad, and big, long, dumb catacombs that reward us with goddamn nothing make me sad. Rooms that Papa walks into and just instantly dies because someone on the other side of the room make Papa sad. Like, I'm just trying to be like the Lamenter, except I can't make a million clones of myself. Wow, an NPC boss that clones itself? FromSoft really just wanted to make their dreams a reality, huh? The Lamentator is probably my favorite NPC boss in the DLC, since it at least does something like a little unique with the fake out clones, but like, it's the best NPC boss. It's like being the best Lutefisk you've ever had, which if you don't live in Minnesota and don't know what disgusting shit Lutefisk is, Google that on your work computer. It's not porn or anything. It's just gross, and you should look it up and be like, who did this? Why would you do this? Anyway, into the Fog Rift Fort, we can fight another Black Knight in a fort. What is this, some sort of night fort? This is the one that has the tongue attack that Andreas was always doing, meaning I can finally figure out the answer to the question, what that tongue do? It pulls you in, that's it. The soldiers are still chasing us, so I decide to take that tongue into a tiny hole, which I didn't think I'd enjoy. But after that, we can get behind him, and it's surprisingly satisfying, even if it's a little messy.
Hey baby, I hear the blues are calling, toss salads and scrambled eggs.
Bonnie Jail next, it's a catacomb. I dislike that. The boss is just a regular enemy they slapped a health bar on, and even worse, a regular enemy you've probably seen by this point in the game. Like with the Nox sisters, they're underground, so if you see them in Caelid before you go underground, that might feel like unique. But this isn't Bonnie Jail. You have to fall into Morth Ruins to get here, which has a curse blade in it. I guess this one's in the dark.
No, get those lights off! Off!
Still better than the NPC bosses though. Well, maybe there's one NPC boss I like, but it's really just because she's kind of cool. On Cerulean Coast, we drop down and find the path over to a little island and enter the southern Nameless Mausoleum, inside the Dancer of Rana. Not a great boss fight actually, since we just dance her with our superior Wings dance. But she drops her weapons and armor, which you can wear and still get a boost from the Blue Dancer Talisman. Maybe I shouldn't factor in rewards into boss designs, but it for sure is a factor for me. Remember, that's height50 at factor75.com. I was always upset that the blue armor from the base game weighs too much to get the Blue Dancer boost, despite it being the armor that the talisman represents. This works, and that makes me like a little happy. Another NPC boss? Don't mind if I do. Is this some sort of rock? Wait, it wasn't a rock. It was a rock. Shasa! Maybe his weapon and armor are cool. I don't actually give a shit. I'm really done with NPC bosses. So let's mix it up instead and fight some bears. They're big, they're red, they're rune bears with the Godric earthquakes. Wait, what's Godric's most iconic line? Law & Order Bear Victims Unit, coming to NBC this fall. In the criminal justice system, bear-based offenses are considered especially heinous. In Shadu Altus, the dedicated detectives who investigate those vicious felonies are known as the Bear Victims Unit. These are their stories. Funnily enough, the creator of that show is named Dick Wolf, and Elden Ring fans want the opposite. Another bear across the world, we have to go to Templetown. They should put a grace here. They did. I should grab the grace here. The real boss is the 3 kindreds of rot that blast you off torrent and smack you on the ground. But I'm hunting for bears and I will not get distracted. I mean, I do find bears, but no bear bosses. Then I find the Scorpion River catacombs and, I guess I get distracted. Whoops. There are magical eyes that see you and inflict death blight. Cool. Glad we added death blight traps. Our vitality is actually super high. I think we can kind of just run through these areas without it being an issue or having to worry about it as like a puzzle. Boy howdy, this dungeon sure has a lot of bait rooms that just suck you in, make you fight 4 imps, and then give you a Grave Glovewort 2 or some shit. I don't remember it was actually a Grave Glovewort 2, but it was bad and I didn't like it. Part 2. Now the eyes bounce back and forth like Death Eye Pong, and we have to take cover or just have a lot of vitality and not care. Either or. There's a big pot gargoyle. I like that, even if it kind of means nothing. Not even a speed bump, I just think he's funny. The boss is another Death Knight. I'm using the Meteoric Aura Blade, and now that I know we can backstab him, this is kind of a joke. Still pretty fun though. I mean, it's funny to just like trample over a boss. I'll look at this more favorably than I will at the Draconic 33 Sentinels. Another bear. This time we're using a sword I grabbed off screen. My bad, it's Fire Knight Quail Egg sword, and it does a great job putting fire damage out. The bears are weak to fire damage and sleep. I don't have a sleep weapon, so I use a fire weapon. Only one more boss in the DLC. Thought we were supposed to go up from Templetown because that's what Fextralife said, but here's the thing, Fextralife
is a liar sometimes.
No big deal, we accidentally found the divine bird warrior Orny. Can't wait to get Orny on main. Apparently, some people dislike the ruins of Ra because they're maze-like and hard to understand as a map. I never personally understood that until I had to use them to find this last boss. I unlocked the Spirit Spring with Moog Shackle, didn't know if it would work, but yeah, you know how you can Moog Shackle pillars? Well, you can Moog Shackle Spirit Springs too, and we get a Deathblight Resistance Talisman. Huh. Wonder what that's gonna be for. Turns out you gotta fall down some pillars, then ride up an elevator, and then you're where you need to be to find the final, totally unique boss. I'm so excited to end on something new and cool, and it's the Dancing Lion again, but different. Now in phase 2, he has Deathblight and throws up some basilisks. Bleed still seems like the best tool here, even if we get blighted in our first attempt. God, I can't even imagine this fight without our dumpy vitality stat. Also, Telu is here instead of the Bleed Girlies because I forgot to take him off. Whoops. Though attempt 2, I did leave him in there because he can't be blighted like the girlies can. He doesn't do much damage though. Womp womp. And anyway, we won the second try, bleeding him down. That's every boss. So I guess we gotta go fight Radahn now. Or we could rank every boss in the DLC to stall that out because I'm worried I won't be able to do it and I'm just gonna get really sad right at the end of the video. So here's a tier list for the tier list perverts. Let's rank the bosses.
And is this what you wanted to live?
Hey, who's that in F tier? It's Sensiax, because I hate this. She's the only one in this category because she's the worst. The other tiers have issues, usually thematic things that keep them together. This is just its own horrible thing that needs to be in its own horrible place. If we do all bosses runs with the DLC in the future, I'm skipping this boss. It's not just the worst boss in the DLC, I'd go as far as to say it's the worst boss in the entirety of the game. Recency bias be damned, she makes the Valiant Gargoyles seem fun. Next tier, it's all the NPC bosses. There are 8 of them. There are 41 bosses total in the DLC, which means 1/5 of them are just NPCs, and this does not include Lita and her allies. I guess it includes one of her allies, which is why Dryleaf Dane is at the bottom. I didn't fight him as his own boss, I fought him in the Lita fight. It's an NPC gank, and that's just a fresh hell. Wait, no, not fresh, actually, it's a rehash of Fia's champs. The rest of these are pretty arbitrary. Ancient Dragon Man, Rakshasa, and Black Jail Knight are interchangeable for me. Black Jail Knight probably gets to be a little higher because I did him first before I realized that every mausoleum was just gonna have one boring fight. Talked about hating NPC fights before, but it just boils down to they have infinite FP and stamina and 10 times as much health as you do. It's not actually a fair fight, so it encourages you to cheese them out, which isn't fun. It's just a chore. Red Bear goes a little higher because they look cool. Ymir goes a little higher because he has lore tied to better bosses. Dancer of Rana Katana is the highest because I like her kit a lot. Oh, also, Corey had a great idea. If you beat the bosses, you should be able to summon them as allies for a boss fight somewhere else in the world, at least to incentivize you to do them. That would be cool. Finally, Lamenter is the best of the worst because it does something by cloning the Lamenter. That something isn't even good. It's just something to make it a little more interesting. Next tier, it's just all the bosses that are field bosses from the base game. Deathrite Bird is the worst because Deathrite Birds are still terrible, but they're more terrible when they show up after you paid $40 for new content. I don't actually hate Tree Sentinel fights, but the fact that there are 2 separate Tree Sentinel bosses within 20 feet of each other, and there's already 5 Tree Sentinels in the base game, makes me kind of salty, especially considering the Hinterlands have no unique boss. It's such an important area for America's lore, and they just dropped a couple equestrians in there, then called it a day. Speaking of, Falling Star Beast. I wanted a big whip with good stance pressure from their tail. Doesn't even have to crit. I just think it would be neat to have a colossal weapon that moved like a whip, or a whip with the stance pressure of a colossal weapon. It dropped a gravity spell. That's boring. Finally, Mariga. I don't like that her name is pretty close to a word that I can't say, but demi-human queens are the best copy-pasted boss they chose to pull out of the game. Google demi-human pull-out game on your work computer for my full review. Next tier, field bosses that are fine, but why did you clone them? Hey, why are there so many goddamn ghost flame dragons? And why are they basically just dragons from the base game, but worse? I mean it when I say Grail with ghost flame, frenzy flame, blood breath, and sleep breath would have been a tier above this. Don't like it. Curseblade Labyrinth technically is the only Curseblade boss. It's not a clone of other bosses. You sure you didn't want to throw in a Wandering Noble Gary as a boss fight? It would let you say there are more bosses. Black Knight, Geru, and Edred technically have some moves the other Black Knights don't, but literally every dungeon has 3 or 4 of these dudes without Crucible stuff. So I just can't get horny for them. And Geru drops a shield that you can get from farming the normal ones instead of the Crucible tongue. FromSoft does not let you eat ass, and that's why Geru is under Edred. At least Edred lets you get spread eagle like he does. The bears are basically just rune bears with a new coat of paint and earthquakes, but I kinda like them. They look neat, and I'm not immune to that. Still annoyed that there are 2 of them. I like the Death Knights. They have unique weapons, but oh my god, and I can't believe I'm saying this, they should have been a duo fight. They could still drop each of their weapons, and it would help them handle how easy it is to backstab them. Also, it would cut a catacomb from the game, which is always a good thing. Finally, Dancing Lion 2. The Deathblight adds enough unique stuff to the fight that I feel like it's worthy of being in the game, but also, they could have just given the base version Deathblight, and not having Deathblight on it feels like they took something away from it to save for this version of it, and make it not unique. Don't like it. This is kind of a bummer. I'd cut half the bosses from the last tier and all the bosses from the below tiers, meaning out of 41 bosses, I dislike 21 of them, and think the DLC would have been better without them. Which kind of gets into an issue I've had with a lot of modern games. Less is more. Games have swollen in size by so much in the last 10 years. Elden Ring is one of very few games that actually feels like it properly uses the space. And if I'm being honest, I don't think it totally properly uses the space. When you make optional content, it's inherently less good than the required content. Because if it was the quality of the required content, you would have made it required content. I think the pressure to go bigger and make the world more open has made every AAA game stretch what would have been a fun 10-hour experience into a drastically uneven 40-hour experience. I love Elden Ring, and I even love the DLC, but damn, there is quite a bit of filler in the game that could be cut, and it would not be missed. Like, I'd like it more if it wasn't here. Anyway, here's the good stuff. Jagged Peak Drake. Is this really the good stuff? It's basically just a normal game dragon with a new wing combo attack. You're probably going to spend the whole fight hitting toes and taints if you don't want to get hit by the stray hitboxes from the other dragon. But fighting a dragon while another dragon fights it is cool, and that makes the fight pretty cool. I think the only way to fix it would be to put a summon sign down for the other dragon so there isn't friendly fire, or like put it in an Everjail so like one of the dragons can be friendly to you and not hit you with the hitbox. Shadow Tree Avatar next. It's twisty, it's weird to fight, and 3 phases is excessive. But I like critting the head into phase 2 and phase 3. That's a fun idea. At least you don't have to do the fight again anywhere else, other than the 3 times you do it in the first fight. Bloodfriend Chef. This boss isn't as cool as the room full of demi-humans before it, but it really is perfectly fine. as a troll that hits you with a stick fight. There aren't too many of those in the DLC, so I'm good with it. Golden Hippo is a big beast that you hit until it dies. Its hitboxes are big and weird. Its body is big and weird. That's pretty standard for FromSoft bosses. Feels like Vort without Frostbite. That also doesn't look as cool as Vort, in my opinion. So, you know, it's good. I like it. It's just not really worth writing home about. Meteor is probably less fun, but it's got interesting lore about the fingers. It looks weirder and more fucked up and reminds me of Bloodborne. Oh, Bloodborne. Kind of what I mean when I say a smaller game could be more effective, and also where expanding the game for more content, like the Chalice dungeons, fucking sucks. Putrescent Knight. I don't really know much about this thing. It's guarding St. Trina, but I like the fight better than Meteor, and it's fun to cowabunga down into it. Seems like it should probably have sleep instead of frostbite. I can also see why there aren't bosses that have sleep, because that would be terrible. Fair choice. Ons is not an important boss. There are technically little Onses out in the world, but, and hear me out, he's neat, he's fun. He can parry you, he gets into the speed of the game, and hints at how the new perfect guard mechanic works. It's new to this game, at least. Jory Elder, I hardly know her, Inquisitor, I hardly know her, is pretty fun. Reminds me of Deacons of the Deep, and I like a mob boss fight. Why is a mob fight better than a gank fight? Well, you can just grab something big and dumb and start swinging. Unfortunately, I did this fight with a tiny weapon, but I still kind of like the fight. Next time I'm gonna go in with something thick. Consort Radahn is too fucking hard, but I don't think that's a bad thing. I want FromSoft to aim for making the most tough but fair bosses, and I'm kind of fine with them overshooting it sometimes. It's not always gonna be a bullseye. Radahn is for sure harder than Sensiax, but it's a lot more fun to fight. It doesn't matter that we fought Radahn in the base game. This version feels totally unique, while also having a familiar enough look to be weirdly nostalgic. I mean, the game came out 2 years ago, so yeah, you can be nostalgic for that. The music is sick, the story is fucked up in a very Game of Thrones meets FromSoft kind of way, and Phase 2 looks really cool. It crashes weaker systems because it looks that cool. Honestly, I just wish this was another place you could summon some more people. Make it a recruiting campaign between you and Lita. You get an NPC, she gets an NPC, and then everyone you've recruited dives in like the Radahn Festival. Then he can still be dummy hard for people who want to fight him solo, and more manageable for people who care more about the story. Midra is rad. The story is interesting, the cutscene draws you in, and it's super fucked up. And he just looks really, really weird, like a glowy sunflower man. I like it. If we could just cut out the chore of the first phase, he'd probably be up in S tier, maybe be my favorite boss. But it's really annoying. Maybe if I didn't play on New Game Plus 7 and managed to first try win, I'd like him more, but I also kind of liked that he was a struggle in the fight. Just not a struggle I have to do chores to get to. Now lots of people hate Gaius. The charge is too hard to dodge. He's wicked aggressive and hits you like a truck while blocking off 5 shadow tree fragments. I kind of like it though. He's got a cool mount. It's like if a tree sentinel rode a falling star beast instead of a pony. Wouldn't mind if some of his hitboxes were toned down a bit, or maybe his boar was a little bit slower so Torrent could get you away, but I kind of like it. It's a fun fight. No more messing around. These are the bosses that are just magnifique. No notes. Still some notes. I whine a lot when I should just be relaxing my jaw and wetting my whistle for FromSoft's weighty hog. Romina rules. It's a rot boss that builds up rot pretty reasonably without being a total pain. She's a little less sexy than the bug ladies of past games, but still sexy enough to carry on the horny for insects tradition. And most importantly, her rollout is like fair. Oh my god, is that allowed? I love it. Really. I just wish that she was a little harder, maybe had a little more health. It was kind of over before I got to enjoy it, sort of like how I feel about Loretta. Maybe I had too much Shadow Tree levels, but considering she blocks off the last area of the game, I feel like the implication is that you should do her late. Dancing Lion is something you should do early, and I think they're a great introduction to the DLC. The cutscene starts and you know you are in for some shit. Big stomp you down until you learn energy, like Margit brought to the base game. 3 different phases for Phase 2 also makes everything feel a little randomized. Every fight feels different when you go back in there. They're really only hurt by the clone later in the game, and the fact that fighting them feels unnecessary. They unlock an elevator to Enya Ilum that you can't get to until you beat Romina and burn things down, which already teleports you to Enya Ilum. So like, why are they here? What do they really do? It's just kind of a fun fight that seems important and then isn't. A little bit of a bummer. Rilana is kind of like that too. She's really aggressive, gorgeous armor, and she's a reminder that weapons are inherently better than spells. You can sneak around her and jump up to Shadu Altus, but that's not my issue. The issue is, that's Renala's sister. She's a human who presumably can speak with no cutscene. No voice lines. No lore until you get her boss whole. What the heck? I'd be fine if they made Renala a required boss to access the DLC so that Relana can be like, tarnished, you killed my sister, prepare your anus in a cutscene. Or like, the Carians will have their vengeance when she kicks your ass. But nothing? Forget putting 3 Ghost Flame dragons in. Hire 1 voice actress to taunt me after I die. Basically, I want Mesmer. Opening cutscene, check. Mid-fight cutscene, check. Taunts you when you die, check. Sicko mode boss fight, check. He's also probably just the best balance of HP to damage ratio in the endgame. The fight never felt like a war of attrition. It feels like I'm gonna die or he's gonna die. But whatever happens, it's gonna happen fast. Literally my only critique with this fight is the ally summoning. Why does it start on no? Just start it on yes, like in the Radahn fight. And this would be my number 1. Even though my number 1 also has a summon that starts on no. Because it's Bale, baby. God, I love Bale. One of my favorite moments from the base game was the first time I took on Agil. I know he's a pushover, but I didn't at the time. Feeling like I took down a giant dragon was amazing. Bale recaptures that feeling while making a boss that's actually hard. Hard, but fair. Hitboxes drop, you roll, you're fine. The windows are tight, but you can figure them out. If you screw up and get hit, that's cool. Get back up. You're not stun locked, you get to keep going. You want to fight the head? No problem. It's thick as hell, stays low to the ground, no wiggle wormin bullcrap. You'll get hit more, but if that's a problem, go to the toes. But you can't just stay there and hack away because he has get off me buttons to make you move in and out. Status effects are a valid strategy, but they're pretty heavily resisted, so you might just want to whack him hard. I guess I've never tried spell casting against him, because, you know why. But it feels like a fight that you can tackle in whatever way you want and get this epic showdown with a big bad dragon that messed up Placidusax. Oh, also, I hate Placidusax, and this boss messed up Placidusax. Another reason to love Bale. But most importantly, Egon. Egon is the single best NPC summon in the history of FromSoft. I love you, Alex. I love you, Sigurd and Solaire. You're a groomsman at my wedding. But Egon is the GOAT, and he is spitting absolute bars. Ansbach repeats the same speech at the beginning of every Radahn fight, and it gets a little annoying, a little more annoying every time. Egon makes me want to die so I can play that song one more time, baby. I have this pretty cool thing where I'll get into a song and just repeat it for like a full hour. Egon is the new boss playlist. Every time I fight a boss in any other game from now on, I'm putting Egon on. Bowser, GLaDOS, Hades. I'm gonna riddle with holes your wretched hides with a hail of harpoons. Oh my god. There is a reason it's called Jagged Peak. Overall, I want to be clear. I love the DLC. The environments are amazing. The new weapons are so fun. The major bosses are some of the best in the game. They really went above and beyond and put in so much bang for your buck, but just a little too much bang. I'd be fine riding Torrent around all these environments with fewer bosses in between. It's not like the consecrated snowfield where you're looking at snow and fog and praying for something to interrupt that. Rao is a maze, but it's a gorgeous one. Shadu Altus is Goth Altus, and Enya Ilum is like if Farum Azula never fell to shit. The game's hard. It's really hard. Sometimes it's too hard, and sometimes it is hard in ways that are not fun, but it hits way more often than it misses, and a lot of the misses are ironically very easy to miss. I didn't really get annoyed until I started looking for things to do instead of finding things to do. Shadow of the Erdtree makes the game better, even if it makes my job a little harder. Speaking of, let's go hit Radahn until something clicks.
There was something in the air that night. The stars were bright.
So apparently I misunderstood how the deflecting hard tier works from the one Furnace Golem that I actually took on. It says it enhances spontaneous guard for 5 minutes. And I said, wow, what does that mean? Apparently, if you bring your guard up right before an attack, you take way less stance damage, and it makes Radahn's combos bearable. Now, there are probably a lot of comments explaining how this works because at the beginning of this video, I was using the shield, and everyone feels the need to tell me that actually, the shield strategy only works with the deflecting hard tier. So what I would ask is that if you have some extra time in your day, everyone, please comb through the comments and find the people who explain this thing that I explain later in the video and laugh at them and tell them that they're wrong, because I want them to experience what it's like to find out someone correcting them based on something they know from the future that they didn't know then, because it's something that drives you a little crazy. It drives you a little bonkers. It makes you go Joker mode. But be nice about it. It's just a bit at the end of the day. The meteors still kill us though. It really just makes phase 1 better for sure. It's undeniably better to have flasks for phase 2, as well as Ansbach not being a totally shattered skeleton by the time phase 2 rolls around. But there's still a ton of holy damage there that chips through our shield, and chip is a pretty weighted term for how much damage is actually getting through. The tier also boosts your guard counters after you get spontaneous guard, but guard counters whiff way too much. His attacks hitting the shield kind of push us too far away, and even if we do get one off, we don't have the stamina for the next string of attacks, even with our spontaneous guard. So let's go pick up a solution. Lord's Divine Fortnitification. For sale at your local round table hole. It raises your holy resistance by about 60% and counts as a body buff, whereas Golden Vow is an aura buff, meaning you can have both up at the same time and really cut the damage down in phase 2. But you know what's really fucked up? Even with all of that, the dude is still hitting us insanely hard. Like, even if damage resistance is multiplicative instead of additive, oh my god, I said multiplicative right the first time. We should be hitting something like 80%. And the dude is still nasty. Also, if you're thinking, Fortnitification isn't from the DLC, well, yes, but Pickled Holy Liver is, and it's basically the same thing. I'm just saving myself from crafting time.
Sure, Jan.
Or it's cope. Some things worth noting though. You can block the gravity suck. Okay. You can also block the big nuke at the beginning of phase 2. Since we have the double turtle talisman, our stamina will even come back enough to get ready to feather block. Slight problem though with the feather blocking, you gotta get the timing right every time or you're gonna get schmacked. This is the best strategy we found thus far, but even with all this, it ain't free. When he grabs one of the NPCs, that's our time to hit every single one of our allies, both with the buffs of Fortnitification and Golden Vow. Having your pals alive longer is really helpful. For the first time, we even get him to 25% health, and he does a new meteor attack. It really just feels like everyone at the company got to come in and give this guy another giant move that destroys everything within a 9-mile square radius of his hitbox. Yeah, I don't know why people are complaining about the grab attack though. It is 100% his most fair move in phase 2. It's the easiest to punish, least deadly to get hit by. I am thrilled when someone gets grabbed, even if it's me. If I get grabbed, the pals can usually get a couple of hits off while I'm coming down. But they have to be alive. It's nice that we always have time at the start of phase 2 to get the Fortnite off, shield up, and then summon, but our Fortnite doesn't protect us against the extra magic damage on the space rocks. Those are just always going to shred through us. At this point, phase 1 is a freebie, like 90% of the time at least, which gives us more time to practice surviving in phase 2. We're not taking enough advantage of the grab time. We need to grab the Urge Tree heal from main game. That's not from the DLC.
Hey! Shut up!
Half of you are telling me to go get the Anspur Rapier, so I'm just saying I get to do whatever I want. Now, whenever Mikola hugs, we can reset all the buffs and heal everyone a big chunky amount. Mikola the kind, indeed. Really getting some progress here. We're regularly hitting the Super Meteor at 25% health. That also isn't all that bad to dodge. It's just a roll from the final explosion after running a lot. More ideas. Let's go back to the 4 Biden lands so that I can say, please drop out. Don't think I didn't notice you scheduled the debate right when I'd have 3 weeks away from 4 Biden lands, you sick bastard. Beating Donald Donald is really so important to you to save democracy. You are the worst guy to do it. Hillary would probably be worse, but she's not a guy. And how are the Democrats only putting the 2 worst people, the 2 people who could potentially fumble the bag against old Donald Donald? It's not even a layup. It's daddy lifting you up to the basket to drop the ball in, but you can't because you need to beat Medicare? You fool. Anyway, we were there for Mohg's Great Rune. It boosts the damage of Spirit Ashes after they get a bleed. If we put Lord of Blood's Exaltation on, that'll give the Mimic a 60% damage boost after a bleed proc, which should be huge. 60%'s a lot. Lots of stuff from the base game in that sentence, but hey, who cares? I tested to see if we could set up buffs as Radahn jumps up, and it looks like...
Not this time.
Also forgot to turn on the Great Rune for that one, but here's the thing. Radahn doesn't like that Great Rune, because his aggro goes up 60% in phase 1 after we activate it, and we keep getting washed before we can even get to phase 2, where we would summon the Mimic. This is still not quite getting there, and we are running low on rune arcs. Here's how the last arcs go. We head in for phase 1 and feathered that shield. Successfully dodge the meteors and get a guard counter bleed. That means we don't have enough stamina and we get smacked for it. Not worth it. Bleed 2. That's phase 2. Fortnightify ourselves and bring in the Mimic, then survive the suck purely by dumb terrain luck. We tripped while we got sucked. Dangerous. Let's be real. It's gonna require some luck to win. I thought that the meteors weren't for me, but they were. Thankfully, I didn't block them. I just took them right on the face. The better option for some reason. Bleed pops, and now the Mimic should be carving it up, or at least as close as it can be to carving it up when the boss has this much health. He hits the iframe button, then jumps into the sky while we reset the Fortnite. Ansbach is still good, but the Mimic dies to another nuke. We duck under the grab, heal up to full, just get a few more bleed pops and we'll win. Ansbach health is looking good, and
ability frames. And a one shot from full with my shield up.
What the fuck?
so after that, I took a little break. We're absolute combo food over here. Thankfully, we get him close enough to the wall that his meteors miss. Then we activate phase 2 to save Ansbach from that grabby slashy. The phase starts like shit. The spikes rip through our health, but we live and miss the grab dodge. So if one more grab happens, our heart is stolen. Now the grab actually matters. He turns on his iframes. It's like everything terrible that could happen in one fight is happening to us right now. We get headshot by a stray, taking half of our health and damage despite the ritual shield. Our luck is just so bad right now. He hits the super combo, but is mostly aiming for Ansbach and ends it with a grab on Ansbach? Okay, reset the buffs. Heal the Mimic, only so that it can die against the meteor. But we get a boost from the Mimic dying. I swap that talisman back in. Then Ansbach and I poke away for another bleed and wait, whoa, hold up. We won? From that run? Y'all, if y'all ever need a reason to stick the fight out and just do your best, that run was so scuffed from the jump. But for some reason, that's the one that works. I would spare you the cutscene for spoilers, but the cutscene is Mikola saying he's gonna choose Radahn to be his consort.
I know that. I'm not stupid.
We just did a boss fight where Radahn was called Consort Radahn. Huh. Then we can't climb the stairs to go to the door to Kingdom Hearts that Mikola opened, at least not until Elden Ring DLC 2, where we fight Godwin and Grandsax. I know Miyazaki said there wasn't going to be a DLC 2, but Miyazaki also said the shadow of the Erd Tree was the size of Limgrave. That dude's a liar. And that's the DLC at NG+7. Where does it rank on our tier list? Better question. Who cares? If I'm using my metrics, it's probably at the bottom of F tier. If I'm using my feelings, it's at the top of S tier. This is the most fun I've had playing Elden Ring since my first run, since I started making it content. But wait, where is the new thing? I've seen all of this before. What is it that you missed, Phil? What are you hiding from us? Get ready, here it comes. But here we're gonna try and make it right. I've actually never fought this boss on any other playthroughs either. Hey, Dragonblade. I'm using a Dragon Blade right now. And hopefully I'm able to figure out a way to beat this boss. Because this seems like an insurmountable challenge. Okay. Come on, video game. Telu is doing nothing to help us. I'm all alone. Whatever will I do? How am I meant to beat a boss so strong? We did it. Thanks for watching the rest of it. Honestly, we kind of needed a break. I'm getting a little burnt out, and this gives us a free week to try playing some other games for another channel. That new channel should be up. I don't even know what we're naming it yet right now, but the link will be here, and the first video will be up. We played Another Crab's Treasure, and you can watch us play the whole game and get a whole video. So if you did need a new video this week, go check that one out, please. It would mean a lot to us. We're just trying to do a variety of content so I don't get so burnt out on this game. Yeah. So do that. Also check out the Magic the Gathering channel if you like Magic the Gathering, and I might even be doing some D&D content over on Tulok the Barbarian again. We'll put the links to those videos in the end tag of this one so you can click them and see what we've been up to other places and see if that's content you might enjoy. Giving out a subscription, you know, watching those videos, it helps us out. And it's just more content from me to you. If you're really one of the people who's like, I'm a ride or die, I'll watch whatever you want to do. Go do that. Prove it. Challenge posted for you. Honestly, I'm just happy that after all this delay and how hard things got, we finally got some satisfaction. Google hard things delayed satisfaction on your work computer to find out more. Thanks for watching. We're going to be trying some more DLC runs on Twitch. Maybe come and hang out, join the Patreon to support the channel and get some exclusive episodes. And don't forget to like and subscribe to make sure you don't miss the next video.